and unmatched discipline to smother the Hens of Delaware. Western Kentucky proved that they can hang with the big boys, taking in-state rival and SEC foe Kentucky down to the wire. Tonight, the Hilltoppers will try to take it one step further and knock off one of the country's most accomplished programs. The Mids and the Hilltoppers collide next on ESPN3. We are at the bottom of the hill, Bowling Green, Kentucky, Houchin-Smith Stadium, the backdrop for tonight's college football matchup between the midshipmen of Navy and the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. Hi, everybody. Welcome to college football on ESPN3. Sean Kinney alongside former NFL linebacker Eddie Robinson Jr. And last week, Eddie, Navy answered a lot of questions, in particular at quarterback. Gone is Ricky Dobbs, three-year starter, in step Chris Proctor, and he did the job.
Yeah, Chris Proctor definitely has to take control of this Navy offense. Last week, 3 rushing touchdowns and 1 passing touchdown. He did a great job of leading this Navy team. He'll have to do more of that today.
Maybe one of the best-kept secrets in college football is right here in the hills of Bowling Green, and that is running back Bobby Rainey, last year 3rd in the country in rushing yardage.
And also 340 rushing attempts, which led the country. He only goes at 5'8" and 205 pounds, but he's a durable, tough runner who likes to run downhill.
Speaking of tough, on the other side of the football, Andrew Jackson led this Hilltopper team against Kentucky, 12 stops from his middle linebacker position.
Yeah, talented linebacker in his first start last week. Today, he'll have to be physical at the point of attack, but you have to play disciplined football when you're facing that Navy attack.
Navy has never won a game here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. They're going to try to change their fortunes tonight. Should be a lot of fun. Special weekend here in Bowling Green. It's Navy and Western Kentucky coming up next on ESPN3. Well, the rain has started to fall here in Bowling Green. We had sunshine all afternoon in Kentucky, and no kidding, and here in the last 5 minutes, the sky has opened up, and we have rain to start tonight here at Houchin-Smith Stadium. Second meeting between these two teams. You have to go back 2 years ago. Navy won a wild game, over 900 yards offense, 60 points scored in a game that Navy won. And now the two teams collide here tonight. Western Kentucky, a record of 0-1. The Hilltoppers losing last week to in-state rival Kentucky by a score of 14-3, while Navy really had their way with last year's runner-ups in the FCS, Delaware, 40-17. Statement game made by the midshipmen in front of their home crowd last Saturday afternoon.
Sean, ball protection is going to be key today. I mean, with this rain falling like this, it came out of nowhere. Both teams like to run the football, especially Navy. They'll have to be really careful running that option attack in the rain.
Hilltoppers come out in their red jerseys, the white pants, Navy in the white with the traditional gold helmets as we are set to go. A heavy rain falling in Bowling Green as we are underway. College football tonight on ESPN3. It's a very shallow kick. It's picked up at the 20-yard line. With the return, this is Marcus Thomas. Thomas up ahead to the 39-yard line where he has spun down on the play. And on the stop, Darius Brooks, the backup cornerback for Western Kentucky. So out comes Chris Proctor. What a day he had yesterday, or last week I should say, against Delaware. 22 carries, 176 yards. He scored 3 touchdowns. Also threw for a touchdown. He was 4 of 7 through the airways. That triple option threat for Navy as Proctor looks over at the side. Again, he'll get all the instructions from his offensive coordinator. They will run a lot of no-huddle. We'll see this throughout the course of the night. And now Proctor collides with his fullback, and Western Kentucky sacks him in the backfield. Loss of 3 on the play as the two collided, and a breakdown in communication early there.
Well, that's a great start for Western Kentucky. Navy is a team that they have trouble converting those 2nd and 3rd and long. So whenever you can have a negative play against an option attack team, it goes in your favor.
Again, Navy lines up quickly. 2nd down and 12. The ball back at the 37-yard line. Again, that wind is picking up along with the rain here at the start of this one. 2nd and 12. Proctor will carry out the option, tuck it up to the 40, and he is hit hard at the 42-yard line. Let's take a look at the Navy offensive lineup. Mentioned Proctor at quarterback. The fullback is Alexander Teach. The two slot backs, Aaron Santiago and G.G. Green. The receivers are Matt Aiken and Doug Furman. Up front, it is an experienced bunch led by John Dow, the senior from New York, the most experienced up front for the midshipmen.
And this year, Navy doesn't have that go-to receiver like they had last year. They don't have that one guy that they feel comfortable with throwing the ball on third down. Someone will have to step up and make a big play.
From the 42, they pitch it out left side with some room up near midfield, and this will be good enough for a first down, a fullback option as they go with Alexander Teach, and he picks up the necessary yardage. Here is that Western Kentucky defense. They played so well last week. Clendenin and Smith of the ends, Allen and Adebayo, the two down tackles. Andrew Jackson patrolling the middle along with Tenario Davis and Xavier Boyd. The secondary, Ryan Beard moves from strong safety to free safety. Tyree Robinson, Vince Williams, and Arius Wright. The third down conversion, fresh set of downs, and again they pitch it right side. Big room, 40 to the 30. They're not going to catch him. Down to the 10, 5, and touchdown. Navy on the option play, and the midshipmen strike. Howell is a big play player. John Howell carried the ball only twice last week, but there on the pitch, Eddie, he had plenty of room.
Great job with the misdirection. You see the great cut block by number 4, Bose Nelson. These slot backs have to block for each other. He gets the cut, he gets the big chop block, and then John Howell is the guy who gets the go-ahead touchdown for the Navy midshipmen.
John Teague on for the point after for the midshipmen, so less than 2 minutes into this game, and here's that rain playing a factor. The snap is bobbled, and they do not even get a kickoff. Pablo Beltran could not handle the snap with the heavy rain falling, and the point after fails. John Howell with the long touchdown run for the midshipmen. Navy on the board first, 6-0, 13:08 go, first quarter. Welcome back to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Navy on their opening drive, 4 plays, 61 yards. John Howell with a 50-yard touchdown scamper. Howell is a big-name player for this Navy program. If you recall last year in the Navy-Army game, he set a record for the longest play in that storied rivalry as he broke one open for 77 yards. So again, John Howell has that knack to come up with the big play. And there you look at that scoring drive. Howell with the long touchdown run, and Eddie, a textbook start for the midshipmen here on the road.
Well, they had one person to slide back. He had the cut block, and then Howell came with the long run. And that all starts by the quarterback, Chris Proctor. He has to make the right decision. It was to pitch the ball. Great execution by Navy offensively.
Arius Brooks, Tyree Robinson, the two return men for Western Kentucky. Again, it's a shallow kick. This will be Brooks at the 10. Has a bit of a hole, 25-30. Cuts to the left and then is tripped up at the 37-yard line. 27-yard return by Darius Brooks, and now we'll get our first look at the Western Kentucky offense led by the junior quarterback K'Wan Jakes. And Jakes needs a bounce-back performance in this one. He had a tough game against Kentucky, completed just 9 of 27 passes. Last year, you see his numbers, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and we talked with Willie Taggart earlier in the week, and he said a lot of the fault went to the offensive line. He felt Jakes was having way too much pressure throughout the course of the night. Bobby Rainey is the lone back. He gets the game's first call, and Rainey is smothered at the line of scrimmage. Here's that Western Kentucky offense led by Bobby Rainey. We talked about him in the pregame. He needs only 48 yards to hit 3,000 for his career. Jones is the fullback. Vasquez, the most dangerous receiver. Brand is a talented freshman. Up front, the hometown kid, Wes Jeffries, anchors at left tackle. He's a 3-year starter for the Hilltoppers. Second down and 9 from the 37. Jakes on a keeper. Oh boy, he's hit. Lost his helmet. Big time hit put on by Matt Brewer, the 6-foot inside linebacker who had a good game last week. This midshipman team with 7 tackles, and he brought the lumber there on Jakes. Here is that Navy defense. They are led by Jabari Tawani at one end. Jamel Dobbs and Jared Marks back after a suspension. He patrols the middle for the midshipmen. The linebacking core, very inexperienced, but they are athletic. Brewer, Wetzel, Warwick, and Graham. And the secondary is led by Quasey Mitchell, the 5'10 senior Really the vocal leader of this Navy defense. 3rd down and 7 from the shotgun. Jakes under pressure, steps up, and he will be tripped up right at the 1st down marker, and this will all depend on the spot.
This is what Kawan Jakes can bring to the table. Navy tries to bring pressure from the bottom of the screen. He picks it up, and he reads that no one's open, so he can make an athletic play with his legs, and he almost gets the 1st down.
I have a timeout for a measurement. 11:32 to go, 1st period. Navy on the board first with that long touchdown run from Frank Howell. They lead it 6-0. Eddie, while we have some time, we talked to Coach Taggart this week, and he talked about better execution and more energy on his offense. He was happy with the defense's energy, but not his offense last week against Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly. That offense, he felt like they just needed to execute more, and Western Kentucky does pick up that 1st down. A great way to start this 1st quarter, but offensively they needed more energy, more execution. He wanted that offense to take a cue from that defense, stepping up and playing with more energy and more enthusiasm. And if you know Coach Taggart, he's an enthusiastic coach, so he wants that attitude to go down to those players.
Well, I got fired up just listening to him.
Absolutely. I was ready to strap on the helmet once again.
1st down and 10 at the 47-yard line, so the Hilltoppers move the chains. Doyle in motion, quick throw out to the flat, and the pass is dropped. Marcus Vasquez, the team's leading receiver, had it in his hands, just could not haul it in. And again, that rain playing a factor early on. We've seen a botched snap as far as the PAT goes, and now a drop pass.
When your quarterback is struggling, of course, he had the 4 interceptions last week. You need your receivers to step up and make those type of plays. Of course, it's raining and it's wet and all of those type of things. That was a good throw. And instead of looking at a 2nd and 1, now you're looking at a 2nd and 10 situation, which really favors Navy.
2nd and 10. Here's a give to Bobby Rainey. Good hole over midfield. Rainey onto the midshipman side. Good surge over that left wall. Pick up 5 yards.
A lot of people may not be familiar with Bobby Rainey, but this guy is a downhill runner. You can see how fast he accelerates through the hole. And you like a guy who makes his read and he attacks. And he's always going downhill and falling forward. 340 rushing attempts last year. So Coach Rainey is not afraid to run him a lot if he gets it going.
He is very durable despite the 5'8 frame, 205 pounds. 3rd down. Let's see if the Hilltoppers can convert again. 3rd and 5. They have it at the midshipman 48-yard line. Jakes under center, 2-step drop. Slant pattern, and again it's dropped. Vasquez had it, but could not haul it in. So back-to-back drops by the normally reliable Marcus Vasquez.
And Vasquez, that's his 2nd drop. We saw him on 1st down, and here they're just coming to a simple slant route. Navy is playing soft coverage, and an excellent throw by Kawan Jakes, and that's one that you have because that's a chain mover. That's just as good as a turnover for this Navy defense because now Western is forced to punt.
Hendricks Brakefield was named the Sun Belt Special Teams Player of the Week. He had 8 punts last week, an average of 44 yards per kick. Here he'll try to pin the midshipman deep as the ball hops toward the front of the end zone and goes out of bounds for the touchback. So Brakefield just missing on the opportunity to stick Navy deep in their own end. Willie Taggart in his 2nd year of guiding this Hilltopper program. Last year they went 2-10. It would be a process as they try to build it back up. Certainly likes the direction they're going, and a win tonight against Navy is really what they're missing against an established program. There was a marker, by the way, on that punt. You heard Ron Cherry's explanation. There was a personal foul after the play against Western Kentucky. So it'll be 15 yards, and that was an area the Hilltoppers really struggled in against Kentucky. 12 penalties last week against the Wildcats.
And a dead ball foul penalty is never an excuse for that. No matter what the guy does to you, you have to keep your cool. And 15 yards is a big advantage. You can't give that up to a talented offense like Navy.
So that high-powered Navy offense back at it. G.G. Green, Aaron Santiago are the 2 slots. It's a quick pitch, and this is Santiago. He is catapulted down at the line of scrimmage, a loss of a yard. Coming in, filling the hole that time was Robinson from his cornerback position, Tyree Robinson.
Tyree Robinson, he goes 5'10", 196, but the cornerbacks, in this defensive scheme, we're going to have to step up and make some plays on the perimeter. You can't get cut by those Navy slotbacks. You have to make plays in this option attack.
Rain has stopped here in Bowling Green on this second down play. Proctor, the left-hander, going to throw for the first time, avoids the sack, stays on his feet, and throws it away. How on earth did Proctor get away? A blindside shot. Ramel Lewis had a clear shot at Proctor, but he never wrapped him up.
Yeah, he had a clear run at him coming from the backside. That's Boyd, and he have to make that play. Looked like he just tried to hit him hard instead of using his arms to wrap him up and actually make the secure tackle.
Third down and 11 for the midshipman. Howell is checked in. He's a slot back to the right. Teach still the fullback. Furman split left. Bo Snelson in the slot to the right.
It looks like Western Kentucky is going to play some man coverage at the bottom.
Proctor's going to throw. Floats it out near side, and Teach cannot make the juggling catch. And the midshipman will be forced to punt.
Great defensive stop by Western Kentucky after giving up that 15-yard penalty on the special teams play. And that's what you want to do. You want to get Navy into those third and long situations. Keep in mind that Proctor only attempted 9 or 10 passes last week. Not a big pass-oriented team, so they struggle in those situations.
Ken Niamatalolo, the coach for Navy, what a job he has done. Fourth year, 28 wins. He's looking to lead Navy to 4 straight winning seasons in his first 4 years. That'd be the first time since 1926 when Bill Ingram did it, back during their national championship year of 1926. Hunt rolls inside to 30 and trickles out of bounds at the 27-yard line. $9:12 to go, first quarter. Navy on top, 6-0. A lot of folks coming out to check out the academy tonight. So far, Navy leads it 6-0. Back with more after this on ESPN3. Western Kentucky hoping to find a little luck at the end of this rainbow. Welcome back to Bowling Green. 9:12 to go, first quarter. Navy on top, 6-0. This is Bobby Rainey trying to get it to the outside, and he does. Rainey turns it up for good yardage up close to the 35, gain of 8 yards.
Bobby Rainey, you can see his style of running, Sean. It's a one cut and a downhill. He has a lot of leg drive for a little guy. Like you said, he's only 5'8", but man, he's tough to bring down.
Rainey from Griffin, Georgia. Mentioned needs only 48 yards to hit that 3,000 mark in his career. He would become the 6th Hilltopper to accomplish that feat.
Now in the 2nd and 2 situation, we'll see if Western Kentucky tries to take a shot deep.
Bakes pitches it to Rainey, and he is swallowed up. Now lost the football, and Navy recovers it. Had it poked free. And it's the leader of that defense, Jabari Tawani, with the recovery for the midshipmen.
Of course, we know it's wet out here, and that's number 26, the backup tailback for Western Kentucky. Took a big hit, that's Champ Lewis, but he has to hold on to that football. I mean, this is a 2nd and 2 situation. At worst, you're in the 3rd and short, but now you give Navy excellent field position, once again in scoring position from 30 yards out.
So the game's first turnover against the Hilltoppers. The midshipmen take over, great shape at the 30-yard line.
What the hell is that?
Navy does come into the game with a couple of play-action plays. Of course, they're run-oriented, but they like to make those big plays when they have to use them in the passing game.
Here's the give up the middle to Teach, and Western Kentucky is waiting. He has stood up at the line of scrimmage, a loss of a yard. Alexander Teach had 65 yards last week against Delaware, Conroe, Texas native. As you know, Eddie, in this triple option, the fullback always a critical ingredient to that success.
And Teach is a team captain, a guy that lost his job and then retained that starting position last year, as tough as they come.
2nd down and 11. Proctor, a play fake, wants to throw. Under some pressure, throws underneath, has a man. Making the catch is G.G. Green, and he is tackled at the 22-yard line. 9-yard reception by Green.
Yeah, nice decision by Chris Proctor. They had a deeper route that was covered, so he did a good job of just settling down and taking what the defense gave him. He took the shorter route. It's a completion, and now you put yourself into a situation where you can have a chance to complete this third down, but there's also a penalty on the field.
Yeah, there is a marker down in the Navy backfield. The rare mistake made by John Dow, the senior right guard, guilty of a hold, so that pushes it back to the 41. Second down and 21.
And if you're Navy, worst case, you want to stay in field goal range. That penalty actually takes them out of field goal range.
Straight drop by Proctor. Looks like they want to set up a little screen, and it's dropped. Teach on the screen, unable to hang on to it. It was a low pass, but that's one normally Teach brings in.
Yeah, that's a tough one because Navy had something going right there. On the second and long situation, you set up that screen. The play is there, just the quarterback. If Proctor throwing it to Teach, it has to be a little higher, but of course Teach needs to make that catch. And now you have a third and long situation. We'll see if Western Kentucky tries to bring a little pressure and match up man-to-man on the edges with these Navy wide receivers.
Navy 1 for 2 on third downs in this first quarter. 7:26 to go. They keep it on the ground to Teach. Conservative call as Teach is tripped up.
Keep in mind, John Teague set a career record. Not just a career record, but a Navy record of a 54-yard field goal last week. And this is right on that edge where they may want to try that long field goal attempt.
Like they're going to send out freshman Pablo Beltran. So young kicker will try to pin Western Kentucky deep as Ken Niamata-Alo tries to play a field possession game right now. A little position battle going on.
Yeah, and keep in mind it's a wet football out there, so maybe ill-advised to try that long field goal like last week.
John Evans awaits the kick. Signals for a fair catch. He'll let it bounce. Takes a nice hilltopper sideways hop, and it corrals out of bounds at the 13-yard line. 25-yard punt by Pablo Beltran. 6:36 to go, first quarter. Once again, Sean Kinney joined by Eddie Robinson Jr. And Eddie, if you're Willie Taggart on that far side, you give up the early touchdown, but your defense has played well the last two series.
But you need to get something going offensively. I mean, you take a look at fullback right there, number 32 in the huddle. He's one of those team leaders, Kadeem Jones, and they have to run the football. I mean, they are a run-first team, so they have to run and establish that running game, be physical with this Navy defense, and then they could set up that big play-action pass.
Western Kentucky will line up out of the eye from the 12-yard line. They give it to the fullback that Eddie was mentioning, Kadeem Jones. He's a big athletic body, 5'11 sophomore, 270 pounds, and Willie Taggart said he really wants to implement him more in the offense, not only as a blocker, but a runner and a pass catcher.
Yeah, and Coach Taggart got excited by him. He has all of the skill sets. He goes 5'11", 270. He said he told him in offseason, say, I don't need a pet at fullback. I need a beast. I need a guy that's going to come up there and blow up those middle linebackers. And so far, he's been as advertised.
Jack Doyle switches sides. The tight end, he lines up to the right. Jones in motion. They pitch it that direction. And again, Rainey has nowhere to go. Navy's defense collapsing. Jared Marks, good to see him back in uniform for the midshipmen. He missed last week. Prior to that game against Delaware, Marks had played in 27 consecutive games.
And Jared Marks, this guy is one that they need. They need him to step up big in the middle, playing that nose tackle position. You have a team that likes to run the power. You have to be physical at the point of attack. But now a third and long situation. Navy's pretty conservative on defense, but they will bring some zone pressures in different situations.
Western Kentucky 1 for 2 on third down. They set up a screen. Rainey makes the catch at the 10. Stiff arms the defender to the 15, but is tripped up. Hanging on to him was Mason Graham. Good job by the outside linebacker, the 6-foot senior, holding on to Bobby Rainey.
Yeah, this inexperienced group of linebackers, they're playing well so far for Navy this year. Just a great job of recognizing. And look, he slips through the two hilltopper blockers and makes a great play for Navy, or else that would have been a first down.
Hendricks Brakefield on the punt. Gary Myers awaiting the kick around midfield. Myers on the back pedal, lost the football. The Hilltoppers think they have it, and they do. Looked like he took his eye off it. Hit his left shoulder pad, and then Western Kentucky with the recovery.
Here you see the muff punt. You have to look it all the way in. Now, I don't think that was an example of the wet ball conditions. I just think, like you said, Sean, he took his eyes off the football. You have to secure the football first, and Western Kentucky heads up, having people around the football to get that recovery. Big field position change for Western Kentucky.
The 48-yard punt, and Western Kentucky takes over at the 35-yard line. Each team now with a turnover in this first period. Darius Brooks had an interception last week, and now he gets a fumble recovery on special teams. Let's see if the Hilltoppers take advantage, and this is the best run of the night for Bobby Rainey as he explodes through a hole, close to a first down, up ahead to the 25-yard line.
Yeah, Rainey once again with this downhill running, just off tackle. It's not too many teams who just run power football. And you can see the big fullback, Kadeem Jones, 32. He sets up that lead block, and Rainey is right off of that block. I like the downhill power football that Western Kentucky brings to the table.
Second down and a yard. They give it right back to Rainey. Misdirection inside the 20, down to the 17-yard line. First down, Western Kentucky inside that red zone for the first time.
And this is what Western Kentucky wants to do offensively. You start getting those 7- and 8-yard runs. Now you have those secondary members of the Navy football team that have to make the tackles. Then you come with your play action. You can set them up, and then you're starting to dictate to the defense.
Inside 4 minutes to go in this first quarter, 6-0 Navy, but Western Kentucky looking for the equalizer. Out of the I formation, Rainey gets his third straight carry. Boy, he's so crafty as he slithers up to the 12-yard line.
Veteran offensive line for Western Kentucky. They do a good job of also mixing in some unbalanced things, and they move tackles over, so you have to be really attentive to what they're coming out in, the different sets that they're preparing if you're Navy.
Rainey, 7 carries, 35 yards in this opening period, but he's having some of his best runs on this particular drive. Inside 3 minutes to go, second down for the Hilltoppers, and now Jakes dropped the snap, and he will recover it. Simple quarterback center exchange, and Jakes jumps on top of the football.
Well, it's a break for the Hilltoppers that they were able to recover this football, but that's the loss of a down. So now instead of 2nd and 8 and having something positive, it's 3rd and 8. So in this red zone situation, you have to see if Kawan Jakes puts it in the air. You have to be careful with the football. First and foremost, protect it. No turnovers. You're in the red zone. Worst case scenario, you get the field goal.
Vasquez and Brown split to the right. Vasquez comes in motion. Jakes to throw. Has some time. Now he's under pressure, and he is dropped at the 15-yard line. Chased down by Matt Brewer, the middle linebacker. Able to reach out and grab Jakes just when it looked like he had some daylight to work with.
Right, good job of zone coverage by Navy. You sit everybody back in that zone. You have an athletic quarterback, so when he takes off running, all of the Navy defenders has vision on the quarterback, and they're able to attack, and Matt Brewer making that key stop.
This will be a 32-yard field goal for Casey Tenius. He missed from 34 last week and converted from 41. Snap down, it's good. Placement on the way, has plenty of leg, and it is no good. He pushed it to the right. So Casey Tenius, the 6-foot senior, misfires on the 32-yard field goal, and Western Kentucky comes away empty. We'll take a break. 1:34 to go here in the first period. Navy still on top, 6-0. Welcome back to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Certainly a special weekend here in the United States. Of course, celebrating the 10th anniversary of the tragic terrorist attacks at the World Trade Center and the Pentagon and all across the East Coast. And both these programs taking time, a moment of silence earlier. In Western Kentucky, you see they have altered their helmet with the American flag. What normally is a red towel an American flag and Navy with the sticker on the back of their helmets. And I know, Eddie, we speak for the entire ESPN3 crew. It's really an honor to call a game this weekend with the Naval Academy involved.
Absolutely. And the Navy midshipmen and Coach Ken Niumatalolo definitely said that they will do something, a moment of silence, and have some special recognition among the team also.
Navy goes back to work. Proctor wants the home run, has a man out there, and it's a diving catch near midfield. Aaron Santiago with the reception. Santiago, such a weapon, able to haul it in, 29 yards.
And if you're Chris Proctor, this is what you have to do. You have to make these big plays in the passing game. Now, that wasn't the prettiest pass in the world, Sean, but it was effective, and nobody gets style points on passes.
Navy goes right back to work with the hard-nosed Teach, and he is just bouncing off would-be tacklers. Bo Snelson loses his helmet. Snelson, one of the more, they call, intense players on the Navy squad, and he showed some of that intensity right there. 9-yard run by Teach, 2nd and 1.
And he talked to the coaches of how could Chris Proctor improve from that excellent game he had last week against Delaware. They talked about making those big plays in the passing game like he did on that one. They're only going to pass around 10 or 12 times a game, so he has to take advantage of his opportunities.
2nd down and a yard. Proctor lost the football, and I think Green got back on it. The ball slipped free, and G.G. Green able to jump on it to avoid another Navy turnover.
Looked like it just slipped out of his hand. I think the defender surprised Chris Proctor by throwing up so fast. That was Xavier Boyd.
Navy 1 for 3 on 3rd downs.
Navy had 4 plays, 61-yard drive for that first touchdown, but since then, it's only 6 plays for 7 yards before that big pass play.
Here's Proctor on a slant, has a man wide open. It's Aiken. He's to the 20. Matt Aiken down the sideline, touchdown. On a broken coverage by Western Kentucky, 44 yards. Proctor hits Aiken, and there was nobody close to him.
To play disciplined football every time out, every play. You have to check your keys if you're Western Kentucky. Here they have the fullback fake and then a wide open Matt Aiken. Chris Proctor just has the nice touch pass and the block downfield. Very unselfish player. Navy to John Hall, and now they're up 12-0, the Navy midshipmen.
We're used to seeing Proctor run them, not throw them, but taking advantage of a broken secondary play by the Hilltoppers, and now Teague on for the point after, and he boots it through. Chris Proctor has thrown his 2nd touchdown of the season, a 44-yard strike to a wide open Matt Aiken. Navy to end the first quarter on top. Midshipmen looking good, 13-0 Navy. Navy on top, 13-0. The midshipmen having a little fun here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And again, Navy striking via the air. Let's go back to that touchdown pass.
Well, Navy's not known for the big play passing game, but here you can see the defender at the bottom right, the cornerback. He's getting nosy. He has his eyes in the backfield looking at the quarterback, and you have to keep your eyes on your coverage. If you don't play disciplined football, the Navy offense can make you look really bad.
Matt Aiken had a catch last week. They describe him as having the best hands among the receiving corps. Coming off his first start last week against Delaware, and now he has a 44-yard touchdown catch. Here's Teague with the kick. On the return for Western Kentucky, this is Antonio Andrews. Andrews with some room up near midfield, and he's tackled at the 42-yard line. Good return. Andrews with a 37-yard return, and here comes the Western Kentucky offense. You look at the numbers, Eddie, so far, and Navy dominating. Look at that balance. That's probably the most surprising number.
Yeah, with those two, that big passing play, the 73 yards passing and also the 70 rushing. But the biggest surprise is that this Western Kentucky just can't get anything going in the passing game. And they had a couple of drops early, but you have to sustain some drives, and they can't just run the football. They're going to have to make something happen in the passing game also.
Down 13-0. Jakes to the air, too tall. Overshot his tight end. That's Jack Doyle. Doyle named to the preseason watch list for the John Mackey Award, which goes to the nation's top tight end.
Very talented tight end, and that's one that's on Jakes. That's just a simple 5-yard out route, an easy throw and catch. And what happens with your quarterback, when he starts having a couple drops early in the ball game, then he starts to question what he's doing. And then when the team is not having confidence between the quarterback and receiver, it makes it hard to have an effective passing game.
Second down and 10. Rainey in the backfield. He gets the call, but he is swallowed up at the line of scrimmage. Taken down by Jabari Tawani, 4-year starter for the midshipmen, loss of a yard.
And Jabari Tawani, he's a very talented player. That's one of those guys that Coach Niumatalolo, he said if he was just a couple inches taller, he would have definitely been a big-time recruit. So Navy was very fortunate to get him. One of those guys that came out of Brentwood Academy in that Nashville, Tennessee area. He has 60 family members, so he had to get a lot of tickets from his teammates for this week's game.
Yeah, he went to all his teammates from Hawaii and some of those distant places out west to get their tickets. Jakes under some trouble, avoids it, now runs up ahead to the 40. Let's see if he can get to that first down marker, but he is cut off just shy as he is escorted out of bounds. Matt Warwick and Travez Bush, those two knocking Jakes out before he could reach the marker.
And that was a great effort play by 51 Matt Warwick. I'm sure if Jakes was to have a straight line race with Matt Warwick, he would beat him in a 40-yard dash. But Matt Warwick took a great angle of pursuit and realized, hey, it's 3rd and 12. I can still cut him off before he gets the first down. He just put his head down and kept running and stopped him before they were able to get that first down.
Well, if you're a Hilltopper, you're getting tired of seeing Hendricks Brakefield. He punted 8 times last week. He's been busy early on in the first half tonight. Here comes the press, but Brakefield gets it away. End-over-end kick. Myers, who bobbled the last one, will let this take a bounce, and Western Kentucky touches it dead at the 22-yard line. The 32-yard punt by Brakefield. Navy on top, 13-0 over Western Kentucky. The Mids trying to pick up their first win here in the state. Back with more on ESPN3. Green, Kentucky, we're at the bottom of the hill. Houchins-Smith Stadium, the setting tonight. 13-0, Navy out to an early lead. A long touchdown run by John Howell, and then a touchdown pass. Chris Proctor, 44 yards to Matt Aiken. Navy looking to start 2-0 for the first time since 2006. The Mids defeating Delaware last week, and now so far taking care of business against the Hilltoppers as they open up at the 22-yard line. Proctor on the quick pitch. Santiago keeps his balance. Oh, they're going to say a knee touched at the 25-yard line. Boy, Eddie, you look at the yards per carry in Navy, double digits.
Santiago here coming with the play, but there was a huge collision. And one thing you talk about these slot backs, and the coaches for Navy said it's a very unselfish group. They all like to block for each other, and they all have the same skill set. He said in the past they had one guy who may have been a better receiver and one guy who may have been a better runner. But he said now it's a situation where it doesn't matter who's the blocker or who's the runner or who's catching the long pass. They're so interchangeable, and it makes the offense just that much more dynamic.
Looked like the free safety, Ryan Beard, had to leave the game because of an equipment issue with his helmet, so he is out of there. Beard, normally their strong safety, had to go back to free safety for the start of this one because of an injury to Keontae Young. 2nd down and 8, the ball at the 25-yard line. Proctor again gets the Mids lined up, looks over at the coaches, and then ducks back in under a center, Brady DeMel. Mids keep it on the ground. They pitch it to G.G. Green. A couple of nice moves, and now Green has some room. Down the side to the 40, and he is thrown out of bounds close to the 50-yard line. Couple of nifty moves by Green at the point of attack.
And the Navy coaches, they like to track knockdowns. And knockdowns don't just go for the interior offensive linemen. It also goes for the fullbacks and the slot backs. And they practice these chop blocks, and you can see they just like to keep chopping on those edges, and then those slot backs, they turn the corner on Western Kentucky. And you have to play disciplined football. If you don't have a guy on every portion of that option attack, Navy will really hurt you.
23 yards on the run by Green, the 5'8 junior out of Columbia, South Carolina. Now Proctor on a give to Teach, and he bulldozers ahead. Alexander Teach, 10 yards and another Navy first down. And there is an injured Hilltopper, and that's their highly touted linebacker Andrew Jackson. Jackson down on the turf for Western Kentucky.
Jackson was one of those kids we talked about in the beginning of the game. 12 tackles last week against Kentucky in his first start. A big physical linebacker who has to play a good game and have good reads. That's a guy that they can't afford to lose. He's pretty much been the bell cow of that Hilltopper defense last week against Kentucky.
Navy has done a good job containing Jackson. Just 2 tackles in this first half. 12:08 to go as they continue to work on Jackson's left leg. We talked to Lance Guidry in his first year as the defensive coordinator, and again, much like Willie Taggart, he brings a certain enthusiasm and a level of confidence that really spills over to his team.
Yeah, it does, and you have to have that. I mean, defense is about having fun, first of all, and running to the football. And the first thing he said last week was that our kids ran to the football well, and they played with purpose against Kentucky, and they were physical. And if you can have that, you can coach them up and align them up to do good things. But you got to have a defense that has an attitude and runs to the football. As you can see, Jackson is walking off the field, so hopefully he'll be able to return.
Yeah, they were working on him as if it was a cramp in that left leg, so hopefully that's all it was. Navy pouring on the yardage now, 105 rushing yards for the midshipmen. For last week, they racked up close to 400 yards on the ground against Delaware.
This front seven from Western Kentucky is going to have to step up and make some plays. You can't keep forcing those secondary guys to have to make tackles on the perimeter.
From the 43, Proctor on a give and Teach breaks into the secondary. Went through untouched. Another first down. 16 yards in the carry, and Alexander Teach, when you're getting yards from your fullback like this, that does not bode well for the D.
Not at all, and once again, you have 37, Vince Williams for Western Kentucky making that tackle 10 or 12 yards down the football field, and so this is a coverage guy, so this is what happens. When those secondary guys have to keep making those tackles, then you come with the play action, and they're thinking run fits, and then the play action gets behind them, and you give up a big pass play.
Doug Furman has left the game. The receiver replaced by Brandon Turner. Proctor to the air. Turner's open. End zone. Touchdown, Navy.
And Ryan, that play is a direct result of the success that you're having with Teach, running that fullback downhill. Once again, you fake it to the fullback. The safeties get nosy. They just had to make a couple of tackles, and then you get the big touchdown to Brandon Turner, who goes at 6'4" and 200 pounds. Great job at Chris Proctor, realizing that a guy is wide open and taking advantage of his opportunities in the pass game.
For Brandon Turner, his second career touchdown reception. John Teague adds the point after, and Navy is on their way. The midshipmen on top of Western Kentucky, 20-0. We knew Chris Proctor could run it in. He's throwing them tonight. His second touchdown pass has the mids up big. Navy on top of Western Kentucky, 20-0. Good following for the midshipmen here tonight. We mentioned a number of Navy players with ties to this area in Kentucky. This is a hotbed. Navy gets a lot of good recruits from this part of the country, and a chance to showcase their skills in front of some of the hometown folks here tonight.
Well, they have quite a few kids from Brentwood Academy in that Nashville, Tennessee area. Mason Graham, the starting outside linebacker, Tawani, and also Josh Tate, a backup outside linebacker. So, I mean, this is a team that they want to come here and they try to recruit nationally from Navy, but Tennessee, they definitely have a connection in this Tennessee area.
Antonio Andrews, Darius Brooks to return. Willie Taggart has somehow got to figure out a way to regroup his team. They are down big, 20-0. Teague with an end-over-end kick. Andrews catches at the 5. Cuts up to the middle and then is taken down at the 12-yard line. Marker comes in as well. Tremendous special teams coverage by Navy. They were flying to the ball. We mentioned there is a marker down. Let's see what this could be. It happened maybe in the area of an illegal block, Eddie. You look at the Western Kentucky possessions in this first half as they get set to start their 6th possession. 6 plays, 15 yards and a punt. 2 plays, 3 yards and a fumble. 3 plays, 5 yards and a punt. A missed field goal, and 3 plays and out on their last series. So a nightmarish first half offensively for WKU.
Well, you have to settle down. They still want to establish the run. You can't just go to a passing team because that's not your identity. The Hilltoppers are a run first. They establish the run, and then they get the play action going.
There were 2 penalties on that sequence, a block in the back called against Western Kentucky, and there was a face mask as well on Navy.
But if you're Western Kentucky, what you have to realize, hey, we're down 20 points, but we're at home. So just keep playing your same offense. You get 1 score here, and you can get back into the football game. You also get the ball to start off the third quarter. So don't panic. Just keep running your same offense. But at some point, Western Kentucky and quarterback Kawan Jakes is going to have to make a big play in the passing game, similar to what you see Chris Proctor doing for Navy.
So with the offsetting penalties, we're going to re-kick it. Just over 11 minutes to go in this first half.
And keep in mind that Navy, perfect game almost last week. They didn't get any penalties. You know, Chris Proctor had a big day, and so that's probably with their second penalty of the year. And one thing that Coach Nehemiah Lolo really was emphasizing, that he didn't want his team to get complacent. And sometimes you have to know how to handle success. So I'm sure he's excited about coming out to this 20-0 start as a team that's really settling down and saying, hey, we beat a good Delaware team, but now we have to come back and do it again, go on the road, and they're off to a great start against a pretty talented Western Kentucky team.
So after the penalties, Teague will kick it off again. Andrews near the goal line. Andrews to the 20. Has a bit of a seam, and he cranks up ahead to the 28-yard line. 25-yard return. And out comes that Western Kentucky offense. There is a Hilltopper down. Western Kentucky left the ranks of Division I AA back in 2007. They have really struggled since then, just 4-32 over the last 3 years. That included a 2-10 mark last season, Eddie. And one trend that Coach Taggart really wants to change is their difficulty winning here at Houchin-Smith Stadium. They have dropped their last 15 home games. Their last win, September 20th, 2008, against Murray State.
And Coach Taggart, he was a talented quarterback here during his time as a player, and also he was a co-offensive coordinator when they won that 2002 national championship and then Division I AA. So he wants to get back to where teams fear coming to Bowling Green and playing on campus at Western Kentucky, and he has to totally change the attitude and identity of his team. He started that towards the end of last year, and last week they really expected to beat Kentucky. They played hard and went toe-to-toe. So now those expecting to win has to come to you actually are winning those football games, and that's why they were so excited about hosting the Navy team, a team that they felt like they could compete with and try and beat.
Tyree Robinson is the injured Hilltopper, and this could be a big blow for Western Kentucky. Remember, their secondary is already thin. Deontay Young playing with a ginger hamstring. We saw Beard leave the game earlier. But now Robinson checks out as the Western Kentucky offense starts up shop at the 29-yard line. They need something good to happen now, trailing 20-0. 2 receivers left. They give the ball to Bobby Rainey. Rainey knifes close to the 35-yard line. Pickup of 6 yards on first down. Running behind that left side, Luke Stansfield and Wes Jeffries. Jeffries, the left tackle. Good story here. He's a hometown kid from Bowling Green, 6'4 senior, 295-pounder, second team All-Sun Belt a year ago, 3-year starter, and they describe him as a blue-collar guy, and Willie Taggart, certainly a blue-collar coach. He likes those hard workers. Second down and 5 at the 35-yard line. Rainey lining up behind Jones, the fullback. Doyle in motion. Rainey gets the call. It's a nice cut. Marker comes in as Rainey crosses the 40, but a marker came flying in. That's in the vicinity of a hold. Holding the call against Western Kentucky.
And penalties have been the problem so far in this young season. Yeah, penalties have been a problem for Western Kentucky so far this season. And when you're down 20-0, you're trying to still establish that running game. You get 2 successful plays, and instead of having a 1st and 10, now you're at 2nd and long. So those things, that one small penalty, it goes in the stat book as a penalty, but look how it really hurts your offense in a situation it puts your team in.
See if Kwan Jakes puts it in the air. He's 1 for 4, just 4 yards so far. Navy brings the blitz. They run the draw to Rainey, slips free from one defender, sprints to the sideline, and is escorted out by Matt Warwick. 6 yards on the draw to Rainey.
And Navy's just going to be patient. I mean, until Jakes can show that he can make a big play in the passing game, they'll be comfortable just sitting in that 3-4 zone, playing cover 2, letting the safeties play deep, and force him to do something to beat them in the passing game.
3rd down and 10. Western Kentucky 1 for 5 on 3rd downs in this first half. They need a conversion here. Receiver left and right. Jakes has time, fires over the middle, looking for his tight end. There's a marker in the backfield. Doyle hauls it in, and this might be a late hit, Eddie. Jakes was knocked down, roughing the passer. The call, the play will stand, and a much-needed 1st down for WKU.
Yeah, I think a much-needed confidence boost for Kwan Jakes. He needed something positive to happen in the passing game. He threw that to the big tight end, Jack Doyle. He just runs a deep in route. He gets deeper than the linebackers, and I like the way Jakes just waits till he clears to the open spot and is able to get that pass completed.
You saw Jakes get belted after he threw the football, so 15 yards tacked on. Western Kentucky at the 42-yard line. 2 penalties, 25 yards on the mids. This is Bobby Rainey, the head of the 40. Rainey knifes up to the 36-yard line. Brewer and Warwick, the 2 former teammates in elementary and middle school football, rivals on the high school football field, now teammates here at the Naval Academy. Those 2 go way back.
And Bobby Rainey, he's the 6th Hilltopper to go over the 3,000-yard mark for his career. And, he has the chance to pass his head coach and possibly be the all-time leading rusher in Hilltopper history.
2nd down, a play fake. Jakes rolls right, throws toward the sideline. A catch is made. It's a short pickup. Joel German with the reception. German did not get much playing time last week. He's in there, and he hauls in the short catch.
And Western Kentucky just needs to convert this 1st down by any means necessary. And you see Bobby Rainey coming back into the game with a 3rd and short. It'll be hard-pressed to think that the Hilltoppers wouldn't hand the ball off to the guy who just went over 3,000 career yards.
11 carries, 51 yards for Rainey. Going to bring an extra tackle in. He'll line up to the left side. 3 big bodies on that left. They run to the right. Rainey will pick up the 1st down and more. Rainey to the 20, down to the 15-yard line, where he's finally corralled. Quasi Mitchell into the stop. It's a 20-yard run. As they overloaded the left side, went back to the right.
As a former linebacker, I can tell you, when they bring in big 63 at that left tackle, that's what I'm anticipating. But a good job by the Hilltoppers going against the grain, breaking the trend I'm sure that they had, and going back to the right side with some downhill running and good blocking up front by the Hilltoppers as Bobby Rainey gets another 1st down and adds to that 3,000 career mark total.
Western Kentucky 0 for 1 in the red zone tonight. They missed the field goal earlier. 1st and 10 from the 13. They sweep it to Rainey. Bobby Rainey to the 10. Stiff arms to the 5. Rainey to the pylon. Stretches. Touchdown.
This was a really hard-earned drive by the Hilltoppers. Some really nifty running by Bobby Rainey, showing that he not only has power, he also has elusiveness and speed and knows how to get into the end zone. They overcame that holding penalty and had a big 3rd down conversion. That's exactly what they needed to get back into the ball game.
And they will review the play to see if Rainey stretched the football far enough as he hit the pylon, stretching that 5-foot, 8-inch frame, and he had just enough, it looked like, from our angle to get in there.
I think the key will be if that left foot was in or out when he planted right before he launched to hit the pylon. I think it's pretty clear that he hit the pylon, but let's check out that left foot to see if it landed inbounds. Here he comes right here.
Boy, it looks good to me, Eddie.
It looks pretty good. Both of those knees were airborne, and I think by him putting that ball on top of the pylon, of course, which extends the goal line, I think that's going to be a touchdown, like it was called on the field, but you never know.
You see Mitchell coming over, trying to push him out before the front of the end zone, and again, the play under review. If it stands, it's a 13-yard touchdown run for Bobby Rainey. From that angle, it looked like he was airborne with those knees when the ball hit the front pylon.
Bobby Rainey just went over 3,000 yards. Now, his head coach, Willie Taggart, has a career rushing total of 3,997 yards, and we asked him about that, and he said he told Bobby, hey, you're scared to come catch me. He said, I was a quarterback. There's no way you shouldn't finish with more yards than me. He said, matter of fact, I want you to catch LaRon Moore, who is the career rushing leader for the Hilltoppers, and he has 4,396 yards. So it's definitely within reach of Bobby Rainey, who put up 1,600 rushing yards last year.
And Willie Taggart's thinking if Bobby Rainey gets 4,000 yards, Willie Taggart has a few more wins this year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can tell, even though they're down 20-0, I love the play calling. They went right back to the guy that is their bread and butter. You go back to your senior, Bobby Rainey. You don't panic and pass every down.
And the play will stand as the officials signal touchdown. Bobby Rainey gets the Hilltoppers on the board.
That was pretty close. You look at that last angle, it was real close from the knee hitting before the ball hit the pylon, but a great job of Bobby Rainey stretching out that 5-foot 8-inch frame. A big heart, which you can't measure, and that's what really gets him and propels him to be such a great football player.
Tenius on for the point after. Kick is up, and he just did hook it in that left upright. Western Kentucky finds the end zone for the first time this season, and it's a familiar source doing it. Bobby Rainey, 13-yard touchdown run. Toppers are on the board, 20-7 Navy. Hilltopper fans, something to cheer about late in this first half as Bobby Rainey found the front of the end zone. Let's take a look back. 13-yard run by Rainey, and he just did get the ball in.
Hey, just a power play coming over on the right side, off tackle, and a great job by Bobby Rainey. People in position to make plays, but he does a great job of stretching for that pylon, putting the ball on top of the pylon before those knees hit the turf. And that's a legitimate touchdown as Bobby Rainey goes over 3,000 career rushing yards for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers.
Good lead block, too, by Nick Bosch, the backup back. Bosch, a sophomore 260-pounder. He threw the initial block that allowed Rainey to get to the outside. So now some life for this Western Kentucky crowd. 20-7, Navy on top. Still lots of time. 7:13 to go until halftime.
This Western Kentucky defense, keep in mind, last week against SEC foe Kentucky, they gave up 190 total yards. Already tonight in the first half to Navy, they've given up 221 yards. So they'll really have to pick it up and continue to play well like they did last week to have some success in this football game.
Short kick, Marcus Thomas at the 20. Hurdles the pile to the 35. Thomas hit from the backside as the momentum drives him up to the 40-yard line. Navy's offense has been red hot their last two possessions, 9 plays, 158 yards and 2 touchdowns. Both touchdowns coming via the left arm of Chris Proctor.
Good news for Hilltoppers fans. Number 4, Andrew Jackson, the talented middle linebacker who has those 12 total tackles to lead the team last week. He's back in the football game for the Hilltoppers.
Proctor gives it to Teach, and he breaks into the secondary. Teach in a foot race to the 30 is caught and thrown out of bounds. Darius Brooks, the last line of defense, And Alexander Teach continues to have a big first half. 38 yards for the fullback.
Yeah, and Teach is one of those guys. He's just a hard-nosed guy coming downhill right off tackle. He does a good job of shifting to actually find the open hole. The initial read wasn't there, but he reacted well with some sideways running to find daylight. Never run the darkness. That's what they always tell those running backs.
Here comes Navy right back at it at the 22-yard line. They carry out the option. Santiago, 15. Santiago down to the 10. Pushed out of bounds at the 6. Aaron Santiago. And the Navy offense with this triple option picking up yards in chunks.
If you don't play assignment football, they absolutely do. But the Navy is also doing a great job of blocking on the perimeters. In Western Kentucky is going to have to lock up those corners and play man and put those safeties in run support.
First and goal, midshipmen inside the 10. They have the ball marked at the 6-yard line. Snelson and Howell have checked in as the 2 slots. Tisch still in there at fullback. Turner, who has a touchdown cast to the bottom of the screen. They give it to Teach on a dive over right guard, and he lumbers inside the 5 down to the 4-yard line.
We talked to Coach Jasper, the offensive coordinator for Navy. He said sometimes those fullback dives are actually gives. They all look like they're replays, but sometimes it's designed to go to Alexander Teach.
This is Navy's first trip in the red zone. They have relied on the big play thus far. Second down and goal from the 3-yard line. They option it to the left. Proctor giving some ground, and he is hit hard at the line of scrimmage. Might have lost a yard or two. Good hard hit. There's Andrew Jackson coming in. Eddie filling the hole.
Well defended by Western Kentucky. They just string it out, and this is how you have to defend this option play. You take away that fullback when they don't fake it, but then they come with this speed option. Guys have to run to the football inside out there, getting off of cut blocks. And I think Chris Proctor did a great job of not pitching that football and just realizing the defense has won this one. Let me get to the next play.
2 receivers to the top. G.G. Green, the slot left. Santiago, the slot back right. You have Furman and Aiken, the 2 receivers on this 3rd down play. 3rd and goal from the 5. Proctor on the option to the short side. Pitches to Santiago, and he is, let's see, is he in for the touchdown? Yes, a late signal. And Santiago is in with the touchdown for the midshipmen.
Why are you guys so good?
Great example of team football right here. Watch G.G. Green, number 21. He gets the block by the pylon, and then Santiago, his teammate, 26, he goes in for the touchdown. All of those slot backs, they have to block for each other. Give G.G. Green half the credit for that touchdown.
Teague on for the point after. Placement down. The kick is up, and it is good. Navy counter punches effectively once again. It looked like Western Kentucky had maybe built a little momentum. Navy goes back to that option, and every single inch on that drive coming on the ground. Here's that touchdown run again by Santiago.
Yeah, they fake it to the fullback. You have one person on the quarterback. And see, you can't have that one person trying to defend the pitch because Navy does such a great job with those slot backs. They can all block extremely well, which is the big advantage they have this year. They don't have any weakness. They're all interchangeable. The guy that can block well can also run well. So that means you can run that option attack to the left side or the right side and not have to worry about personnel changes. That's a big advantage to the Navy offensive team.
Aaron Santiago, an academic All-American, systems engineering. He won the Superintendent's Award. That's a list that the Naval Academy has if you have a GPA of 3.7 or higher, and that's what Santiago had. He finished with a 3.78 GPA in systems engineering.
Keep in mind, this Navy offensive line, Cabral, Brady DeMille, John Dowd, Ryan Bassford, all returning starters from last year. The only new guy is number 76, David Summerall, and they're all playing extremely well. They are very skilled at what they do. Not the typical size offensive lineman, but very athletic and very disciplined, and they know how to block well for this triple option attack.
Navy now leads it 27-7. This will be Anderson across the 20 up to the 30. He's into the open field. Antonio Andrews makes a cutback, picks up a huge block. 15 down to the 10-yard line. No markers, it's going to stand. Special teams, Antonio Andrews.
did an excellent job of being patient and allowing his blockers to come downfield and make blocks at the end of this run. Great job by Western Kentucky offensively, needing the spark, realizing that their offense isn't doing a whole lot, and that was Dexter Haynes coming up with that big block to get a couple more yards for the Hilltoppers return game.
75-yard return. Here comes Western Kentucky at the 12. They give it to Rainey. He runs over left tackle. Rainey moving that pile, gets inside the 10.
If you're Navy defensively, you have to key in and try to stop Bobby Rainey first. I mean, so far, Jakes hasn't done a whole lot in the passing game. So just because you're in the red zone, I would still key on Bobby Rainey and put 7 and 8 guys in that run front, because he's the guy that can really hurt you.
Remember, Western Kentucky can still pick up a first down. 2nd and 8 from the 10-yard line. Out of the I formation, Jones the fullback. He's the lead blocker. Rainey, good one-on-one tackle. Quasey Mitchell, leader of the secondary for Navy, came on in. That's a textbook tackle driving down Rainey.
And Bobby Rainey is so explosive to the hole. And he goes from 60 to 100 miles per hour. When he sees the hole, he has a great explosive attack. He gets there with authority. Now the third down situation where Navy has to sell out. I mean, Western Kentucky can still throw a play action, but I would think, hey, I'm selling out for Bobby Rainey. I'm going to make him beat me in the air.
3rd down and 4 from the 6. Brown goes in motion right to left. It's a play fake for Jakes. Floats it to the back of the end zone, looking for the tight end Doyle, and it goes through his hands, incomplete. Coverage on the play by David Wright.
Navy being alert with the play fake. Jakes, he's running the corner route to the tight end, so he throws it on the outside. The big tight end is there. He just can't bring it in. Jack Doyle, but that was great coverage on the play by the Navy defender.
Big play here, Western Kentucky. Willie Taggart knows his team needs a lift. This could be it. 4th down and 4, and they're going for it. From the 6-yard line, receiver right. Again, they bring in the extra tackle. Play fake, Jakes. Marker down. Jakes rolling to the right. Under pressure, now reverses direction, and is tackled at the 10-yard line. And again, there is a marker on the near side. It was tossed right after the snap.
Illegal formation on the offense, 5 players in the backfield. That penalty is declined. 1st down.
So the Navy defense comes up with the stop. They'll decline the penalty, and a big play made by the midshipman D on that sequence.
And that Navy defense, man, they're playing lights out. You take away Bobby Rainey, they try to run him on 1st and 2nd down. You stuff him up the middle and on the corner, and then they try to run a play-action fake to the talented tight end, Jack Doyle, and you respond to that. Then you have great coverage on the 4th down play, which is essentially a turnover. Great job of that Navy defense.
So Navy takes over at the 10-yard line. They give it to Teach. He's been money tonight. Alexander Teach already close to 100 yards in this first half. He has 9 carries, 90 yards now. Teach has been the motor up the middle for Navy in this first half.
And most teams will tell you, defensive coaches, if you're playing an option attack team, if you can't stop the fullback, then you can't stop the option. You have to take that away, because that's the first option in this 3-headed option attack.
Navy with all 3 timeouts, leading by 20. Second down and 6. Again, Teach with the call. Breaking tackles. Alexander Teach stretches up to the 18-yard line. Teach, one of the captains, underwent off-season shoulder surgery, did not participate in spring ball. He said he felt refreshed coming into this season. His final go-around as a midshipman, the senior 217-pounder, certainly having a big night tonight. Third down and 2. This is Proctor on a keeper. He'll pick up the first down. Proctor across the 25 is rowed down. Tackled on the play by Williams, but Proctor converts on third down. Navy with 1:34 to go, 3 timeouts. Let's see if they put a little oomph in their step here to try to speed it up and get more.
Well, if you're Western Kentucky, you have to play discipline on the edges because at some point, Navy is going to run that play action and try to sneak another big pass play over the top of your defense.
Proctor on the option, gives it to Teach. This time he is tripped up at the line of scrimmage. Andrew Jackson grabbing Teach around the ankle, taking him down. Second down coming up, and really no urgency right now in the Navy offense. I think they are happy where they are at, leading by 20 here on the road.
I think they're going to just run this option attack, and if they get a big play, if someone has a breakdown in defensive assignment, then they'll take it. If not, if they go into the half up 20 points on the road, hey, that's a great start. Just play second half football.
Play clock down to 10 seconds. Game clock at 37. Proctor on the option. It's a quick pitch and a tackle in the backfield. Santiago tripped up. A defensive play made that time by Ryan Beard, who's back in there from his safety spot. And Santiago is the injured midshipman.
Good job by Western being in position to stop this play. Couldn't get a blocker.
That's a scary sight.
Beard.
And you look at Santiago's left arm. Oh, boy.
Why don't we have Cotton Candy Man walking around? I know, right? Why don't we?
On that tackle at the end, looked like he put a lot of pressure on that left arm when he was trying to protect his fall from hitting the turf.
I'm really hungry.
Santiago already has a touchdown on the day. 5'8", 167-pound senior.
He is a key component to this Navy offense. Not only as a ball carrier, but as a receiver. And as you mentioned earlier, these slot backs are expected to block in this Navy scheme, and Santiago can do it all.
Looking at the conservative nature of Coach Ken Niumatalolo, most teams would try to open it up, and Santiago gets up, and they'll try to open it up with, they had the ball with 2 minutes left in the second quarter and try to put more points on the board. Take another look at the replay. Santiago, here's the tackle, and he puts that left arm down right there. So hopefully the extent of that injury isn't too bad, but Coach Niumatalolo, he does a good job of protecting the lead. Because they run this option attack, when they get a lead, they're in no rush to put a lot of points on the board. They put faith in the defense. 23-2 over the last 4 years when they score first. And when leading at the half, 23 and they're 23-0 when leading after 3 quarters. So that tells you that this is a Navy team that when they get a lead, they know how to ice it. They know how to run the football, play good defense. And of course, that clock is always ticking when you have those running plays in the option attack.
Western Kentucky taking a timeout. 27-7, midshipmen on top. They have used the big play in the first half. Chris Proctor with a couple of touchdown passes. Big-time offense, 296 yards for Navy. Western Kentucky with 123 yards. Good balance by the mids, 196 on the ground. And Proctor through the air, 3 of 6 for 100 yards. But as I mentioned, the 2 touchdown passes.
If you're Western, you're hoping that you can get a stop on this 3rd and long play, get another timeout, force Navy to punt. Of course, things can always happen in the punt game. And then maybe get another play or two at the end of this second half and maybe get a big play and squeeze some points out of this first half performance.
Proctor on a design draw. This is Proctor wanting to stay in bounds, but he goes out, so that aids Western Kentucky as Proctor stops the clock by going out of bounds on what was a design draw, it appeared, from this angle. And
if I wanted to just be highly critical of Chris Proctor in the first half, that was probably his first bad play. He's played an exceptional first half. Of course, the 2 big touchdown scores, and he knows he made a mistake of not staying in bounds on that play. But overall, man, an excellent first half and a good start of the season for the quarterback Chris Proctor, of course, taking over for the very talented Ricky Dobbs.
We've seen Antonio Andrews break one free already on a kick return. Here comes WKU after the kick. It's a line drive kick. Andrews will field on the move. The ball, I think, touched him, and Western Kentucky will recover it back inside the 20. That's a heads-up play by the Hilltoppers, recovering that football and not taking a chance. I believe it was number 18 jumping on that ball, and that is a Bo Brand, the young freshman. 54-yard punt. And again, tough to tell from our angle whether that ball nicked Andrews, but Brand was not going to take any chance on it.
Yeah, Johnny on the spot, and he did a good job because actually they did rule that as a touch. That would have been a muffin, a potential Navy recovery. They could have put more points on the board. And I think Western wisely will just take a knee here with 10 seconds left and regroup and try to come out in this second half and establish some type of offensive identity. They do get the ball first to start the third quarter.
Western Kentucky will try to regroup. They trail here at home 27-7. Navy on top. Hilltopper offense with some chances. 3 trips into the red zone. They get 1 touchdown. They miss a field goal, and they fail on a 4th and short inside the 10. So Navy with the lead at the intermission, 27-7. 300 yards exactly of offense, and you see the rain to start the night. It's been raining points for the midshipmen. All started with John Howell and then Chris Proctor with a couple of touchdown passes. Matt Aiken, Brandon Turner, all mids at the break. 27-7 Navy. It's a full moon here in Bowling Green. It wasn't always like that. We started the game in a heavy downpour for the first 10 minutes of this contest. Heavy rain, but the skies have cleared, and Navy having their way with Western Kentucky at the intermission, 27-7. Sean Kinney welcoming you back to Bowling Green alongside Eddie Robinson Jr. And Eddie, your thoughts on the first half?
I think the first half has to go to this Navy offense with Chris Proctor just making great decisions. Of course, he had the long run, the pitch to John Howell, and then he came back with 2 long touchdown passes. And one thing that they wanted to see out of Chris Proctor was for him to make big plays in the passing game, and he's been able to accomplish that tonight.
We'll take a look back at some of the first half highlights when we continue. Bowling Green, Kentucky, the setting tonight. Navy looking to go 2-0 for the first time since 2006. They lead it 27-7. Welcome back to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Western Kentucky trailing Navy 27-7 at halftime. Sean Kinney alongside Eddie Robinson Jr. And we came into this game talking about the Navy offense. Last week they had their way with Delaware, and so far 300 yards total offense in the first half. A lot of it because of the left arm of Chris Proctor.
Yeah, Chris Proctor, we knew what he could do in the run game for Navy, but tonight he was able to make some big plays in the passing game, and that's definitely been the difference. When you're playing an option attack team, you have to take something away. And tonight, Navy was able to have their way running and throwing the ball so far against this Western Kentucky defense.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the first half numbers, and you see the big numbers put up by Navy. 300 yards total offense, 200 of those yards on the ground, 100 through the air, and they're getting yards from their fullback, Alex Teach, which is always a good sign for a triple option. Teach, 11 carries, 96 yards in the first half.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And defensively, if you can't stop the fullback in the option attack, it's going to be a long night. At some point, you have to take that away and force them to go to the next level of option, which, of course, is the quarterback running and the pitch. Teams that run the option, if you don't stop the fullback, they just keep handing it to them, and Teach is off to a great start in his first half.
For Western Kentucky, their bright spot offensively, no surprise. Bobby Rainey finished 3rd in the country in rushing yards a year ago. He has 91 yards, 91 of WKU's 126 at the intermission.
Bobby Rainey is absolutely as advertised. And this kid is tough, fast to the hole, talented runner. But they're going to have to do something in the pass game if they want to be successful against this Navy defense.
It's been a big play offense, utilizing the long play in the first half. We'll take a look at some of the highlights when we come back. Navy 27, Western Kentucky 7. Back with more from Bowling Green after this. Welcome back to Bowling Green, Kentucky. We are at halftime. Navy on top of the Hilltoppers, a score of 27-7. Let's take a look back at the first half highlights, get you caught up with the scoring. And for Navy, it happened in a hurry and in the driving rain. John Howell breaking loose on a 50-yard run. Opening 2 minutes of the contest, you see Howell breaking down the side in that driving rainfall. Maybe on top 7-0. Then they went to the air. First of 2 touchdown passes for Chris Proctor.
It's Aiken. And that first touchdown pass, of course, to Matt Aiken up the sideline. And then Chris Proctor with that play action. He comes with it again, faking to the fullback. Then he goes deep. Once again, those safeties are biting up on the play fake. They haven't been able to stop that fullback, Alexander Teach. But then, of course, at some point, you're not going to just hold down Bobby Rainey, a talented back all day long. You can see one-on-one, he can beat a guy to the pylon. He has speed to get to the edge as Western Kentucky tried to get back in it. But then Navy coming back once again with the flip to Santiago with the great block by Gigi Green. Textbook example of how you run the option by Navy, and they have the commanding lead in the second half.
Let's take a look at some of the scores around the country. All these games on ESPN3. Clemson victorious. See Wake Forest outslugging North Carolina State 34-27. San Diego State survives at West Point. They rally to beat the Black Knights 23-20. Syracuse over Rhode Island. Idaho wins big over North Dakota. And in the second quarter, Temple all over Akron 28-3. The game that jumps out to me, Eddie, is that San Diego State game. That's an Aztec team that beat Navy last year in the bowl game, and they have high expectations, and they survive a scare from Rich Ellerson and the Black Knights tonight.
Yeah, Army played extremely well. I was able to watch some of that game early on, and they gave San Diego State a handful. They were able to rally towards the end and pull out the victory. But that Army team is pretty tough, and of course, you know, you have that big Commanders-in-Chief trophy that they're going to fight for. We'll talk about that a little more in the second half.
Navy will play Army. Traditionally, it's always in December. December 10th, the date this year, and that game will be played at FedEx Field. Those are some of the games that you can watch on archive. Since 4 of the 5 are finals there, you can always go to ESPN3, watch ESPN.com, and you can click on your game and watch it in the archive file. Great way to check all the action in case you missed it on game day. 27-7, Navy with the lead at the break. We'll have more from Bowling Green coming up. This is college football on ESPN3.
Let's watch this one possession.
Congratulations, buddy. You just won yourself a lowest deputized prize package. Remember, soccer fans, if you're interested in visiting the most innovative orthodontic practice, visit their website. Smilescanlast.com. Look at those smiles out there. Look at them. Let's go, Toms.
And welcome back to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Saturday night college football on ESPN3. Navy on top of the Hilltoppers, a score of 27-7. Again, 300 yards offense for Navy, and the midshipmen have to be pretty happy at the break. Eddie, what does Western Kentucky do? What did Willie Taggart tell his guys to try to get back into this game, especially on the offensive end? This is 2 straight weeks his offense has sputtered.
Well, offensively, I mean, Bobby Rainey has had a good game. He's running downhill. But other than that, they haven't gotten much out that passing attack. So I think at some point you're going to have to try to take some shots deep. I mean, Jakes is going to have to make a big play in the passing game. They're going to have a quick score. And defensively, you have to stop the fullback. I mean, Alexander Teach has pretty much had his way with this Western Kentucky defense, who played pretty good against Kentucky last week. So they'll have to pick it up defensively also.
Western Kentucky will get the football first to open up the second half. Tyree Robinson, along with Antonio Andrews. Andrews has had a big return already tonight on special teams.
Now I would expect Western just to still come out and also try to feature Bobby Rainey once again. I mean, even though you're down 20 points, if you could get a score and a stop, you have a chance to get this to a one-possession game. So that's how you have to look at it. You can't get into a pass-oriented mode when your bread and butter is a guy who has over 3,000 career rushing yards.
Again, Navy bundles up a rare kickoff coverage format. Teague delivers the boom to it. This will be Andrews at the 5, straight up the gut. 10, 15, 20. Andrews across the 30, and he is tackled at the 33-yard line. 23-yard return for Andrews, and now the Western Kentucky offense comes out. Again, Kwan Jakes, 3 of 7 in the first half, only 26 yards. He had a couple of drops. See if they can get something started, especially through the air, take some of the pressure off Rainey. Going to open up with 2 receivers split to the near side, a slot to the right, Rainey, the lone setback. Tight end Doyle in motion. They give it to Bobby Rainey. First play of the third quarter from the line of scrimmage, and Rainey is swallowed up at the line of scrimmage. Maybe picked up a yard or two. Jamel Dobbs, the defensive end, the first one in on the stop. Dobbs, a familiar last name. He's the cousin to Ricky Dobbs, the 3-year starter for Navy at quarterback, who graduated last year.
And Navy defensively, Talking to Coach Buddy Green, he was concerned about having to put 8 or 9 men in the box to try to stop this power running attack. Fortunately, his front seven is doing a great job, so they're able to play more coverage on the back end, making it harder for Western Kentucky to find those throwing lanes.
3-step drop, and here's an ill-advised pass, and it's intercepted. Picked off by the midshipman, David Sperry. Not sure if that was a broken route or just a errant throw, but either way, it went right to the arms of David Sperry.
They're just running double slants at the top of the screen. It looked like the top receiver, the outside receiver, he ran a hitch, and the quarterback was expecting him to continue on and run the slant, and that's about as easy as an interception as you're going to get for Sperry, number 28 for the Naval Academy.
That is Sperry's first career interception. As you mentioned, it was right to him. So Navy takes over. Chris Proctor at the Hilltopper 46-yard line. It's a quick pitch to Bo Snelson. Snelson has the corner to the 40, running hard, and he picks up the first down. Snelson with 12 yards. Now remember, no Aaron Santiago. He left in the final seconds of the first half with what appeared to be an arm injury. So Snelson will get a lot more action in this third quarter.
Yeah, but they're real deep at this flat back position. You talk about Bo Snelson, 5'7", 180-pound junior, running with a lot of determination. And they have a couple of guys who can step in also at that slot back position. So they're not in dire straits to have good players at that position.
At the 35, the option to the short side. It's a late pitch to Snelson. Not much there. Western Kentucky stretched it out. Gain of 2, on the play. Good job by the Western Kentucky defense stretching that play out. Cam Thomas in on that last stop. He's a redshirt freshman out of Middleton, Delaware. There's Proctor to the air, has all sorts of time, looking for the home run downfield, and it's dropped, incomplete. He was looking for Turner, covered by Thomas and Brooks.
Cam Thomas, a redshirt freshman, number 19 for Western Kentucky. And you need somebody to make a play in the back end because Chris Proctor has done a great job with the big plays. Now this one, he should have led him a little bit more to the right. If he could have threw that ball more to the middle of the field under the goal post, running that post route, he could have ran away from that defensive back and possibly had a big play.
Third down coming up, 3rd and 9. You mentioned that depth at the slot position. Darius Staten, a 5'6" sophomore, into the lineup for the first time for the midshipmen. And now timeout taken by Navy. They want to talk it over. 3rd and 8 coming up. 13 minutes, 12 seconds to go. Third quarter, midshipmen on top, 27-7. You're watching college football on ESPN3. Sean Kinney alongside Eddie Robinson Jr. Welcome back to Bowling Green. Third down coming up for Navy. The midshipmen 4 of 7 tonight on third downs. Chris Proctor has had success through the air. Let's see if they put the ball in the air here.
And if Western Kentucky, you still have to have disciplined eyes in the secondary because this is a run or pass down for this Navy offense. They're not afraid to run it on 3rd and 7 and allow that running game to still collect the first down.
Teach is the fullback, Green and Snelson the 2 slots. Proctor will hand the ball off to Teach up the middle. Teach not much to work with. Taken down by Xavier Boyd, the middle linebacker. Quintenon also in on the stop, crashing down from his defensive end position. So now a 4th down coming up for the mids.
I think Navy's thinking the whole time was this is 2-down territory, so they weren't afraid to run it on 3rd down. It was already predetermined. We're going for it on 4th down.
4th and 5 from the 30. Aiken, who has a touchdown catch, lines up right. The receiver to the top of the field is Doug Furman. Proctor will carry out the option. Turn it upfield, stretch ahead, and this will all depend on the spot, but it looks like he's going to be just short. And he is. The Western Kentucky defense comes up with a desperately needed stop right there.
Huge stop. And keep in mind, Western Kentucky with that first play of the third quarter, an interception. to come on the field and sudden change and to keep this Navy offense from putting more points on the board. You give yourself a chance to get back into the football game if that Western Kentucky offense can make some plays.
There's been good competition this fall at the defensive end spot, and Bo Adebayo made that last tackle, bringing Proctor down. He's been dueling Quanterra Smith for that starting knob. Both have seen action here in the first 2 weeks. So here comes Western Kentucky. Jakes back to the air, finds his tight end Doyle at the 32-yard line.
If you're Western Kentucky, you may almost want to talk about going to a little no-huddle type situation. I like this. Speed up the tempo a little. Let's try to get some plays off in short fashion, maybe get this Navy defense a little bit unsettled.
A 5-yard gain. Jakes looks right, throws underneath, pass caught. That's Bo Brand. And he is up into the yard shy of the first down. Trevez Bush in on the tackle for the Mids.
I like the quick throws, the easy play calls for K1 Jakes. Let him get some confidence. Get a little couple 5- and 10-yard throws, and then you can start taking shots down the field. But he really needs to settle down and get some confidence from that quarterback position. Of course, now 3rd and short, you have to prepare for Bobby Rainey, number 3.
Rainey lines up as the second back through, and he has the first down and then some. Rainey into the secondary, and they're able to trip him up at the 46-yard line. Bobby Rainey goes over the 100-yard mark, his 7th straight game this year, topping the 100-yard plateau.
Bobby Rainey, just a power play. You see the big offensive lineman coming around Luke Stansfield, and Bobby Rainey, what a great acceleration button this guy has. He can get from 0 to 100 in just a step or two.
Good lead block again by Nick Bosch. 1st and 10 from the Mids 47. Quick throw to Rainey, makes the catch at the 40, and is pushed out of bounds. Bush with the push out for Navy, but a good gain on first down. The quick passing working all of a sudden for WKU.
Well, if you're Navy, you're not upset about this. You have a 20-point lead, and this team really wants to be a run-the-football team. If I have them doing something that they don't like to do, passing the ball all the time, I'm happy if I'm Navy.
Straight drop, a deep drop, hit as he released, wide open receiver, Vasquez. First down to the 30-yard line. K1 Jakes getting in a roll.
And the tight ends running crossing routes. You see both of them cross, trying to confuse the middle linebacker, and he just settles down in the open part of the zone. Well executed offensive play by Western Kentucky.
First down play, Jakes breaks free from the pocket, pumps, now lost the football. He dropped it, and it looks like Matt Warwick is on top of it for Navy, and he's not giving up that football. Navy and the offensive lineman for WKU fighting for that ball. That's Smith, but it was Warwick who came away with it first.
Well, it's been that kind of a night for Western Kentucky offensively. At first, I'm looking at this play and I'm like, great decision. They're trying to go three-step drop, nobody's open. Hey, just tuck it and run. And he tries to do a little bit too much with it. If he could have just ran for those 2 yards, it wouldn't have been a bad play. Every play can't result in a positive offensive play, but what you can't have is another turnover for this Western Kentucky offense.
So Navy takes over after the mistake. They have it at the 34-yard line, and WKU 3 more turnovers tonight. Receiver left and right for the midshipmen. Proctor on a quick hitter. Teach. He lost the football. And now the fight begins underneath that pile. I'm sure, Eddie, you've been underneath a few of these piles. It's not too pleasant.
That's not pleasant, but hey, the tough guy comes out with the football, and that's all that matters. You do whatever you have to do to get the ball for your team.
Let's find out who the tough guy is that emerges. Still no word from the officials. They sort out the mess.
Those officials, I mean, they're in harm's way. Those guys get roughed up trying to dig in there and find out who has the football.
Navy recovers the football. And it's their big lineman who ended up with it, John Dowd, the team MVP from last week. Dowd had 21 knockdown blocks. At right guard, 260-pounder, and he won the tug-of-war underneath there.
What I like about that, what he said was, hey, those 21 knockdown blocks, I can't carry them over to the Western Kentucky game. I have to go out there and execute and do my job all over again next week. 2nd and 8
from the 35. Proctor on the option, pitches it. This is G.G. Green. Green with electrifying speed. He's one of the fastest midshipmen Gets across the 40 and a 3rd and short for the midshipmen coming up.
Yeah, in Western Kentucky, it seems like those secondary players are finally picking up on the speed and the precision at which Navy runs this option attack. It's hard being a safety in this type of defense running against a Navy team because you have to have a flat foot read. Totally eliminate the pass, then you have to come downhill to stop the run.
3rd and a long yard for the midshipmen. Proctor on a pitch. 1st down Navy, and then some. It's Howell down the sideline. Howell makes a cut to the middle. Howell's to the 10, 5, touchdown. John Howell, 57 yards. When he touches the football, good things happen.
That's his 2nd long run of the football game. Great blocking at the point of attack. You see the middle linebacker, number 4, Andrew Jackson, can't get to the perimeter. Great cutback right there by number 3, Howell. He gets into the end zone for the 2nd time in his football game.
Kick by John Teague is up, and it is through. So Navy on top, 33-7. 9 minutes, 10 seconds to go here in the 3rd quarter. For the 2nd time tonight, John Howell, a long touchdown run, 57 yards. Mids on top. John Howell, all smiles. Heck, why not? 2 carries, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns. All of last season, 15 carries, 102 yards, but 2 long sprints tonight. 3 plays, 66-yard drive, and again, Howell finds the end zone for the 2nd time. He has touchdown runs of 50 and 57 yards. And Eddie, I think you hit it on the button earlier in this half when we talked about the injury to Aaron Santiago. You said how they just keep loading up slot backs in this Navy program, and other guys are going to have to step forward. Bo Snelson, and here tonight it's been John Howell.
Yeah, the coaches talk that has been their deepest position offensively. A lot of guys that are interchangeable at what they can do.
This is Andrews, 2 yards deep in the end zone. Nice little move at the 15 to break free. Andrews up ahead to the 25. Marker comes in as Andrews returns it up to the 27-yard line. Antonio Andrews, I think, is winning his role as the kickoff return man for this WKU team.
Yeah, that was a great move at the 15-yard line. He got 2 for the price of 1.
Holding the call against the Hilltoppers.
Hold. Number 25 on the return team. 10 yards, 1st down.
Just take a look at the big plays that have resulted in points for Navy tonight. 50-yard run, a 44-yard pass, a 27-yard pass, and now a 57-yard run by Howell. I mean, big play offense for the midshipmen tonight. So here's Kwan Jakes after the penalty. They have it at the 14-yard line. There's actually a new quarterback in there as they give it to Bobby Rainey. Rainey with a misdirection across the 20 up to the 22-yard line. So Willie Taggart has made a change. Brandon Doughty, a redshirt freshman, 200-pounder, now in there for the Hilltoppers to try and provide a spark.
Well, Kwan Jakes had his trouble tonight. Early on, a couple of the receivers were dropping passes, but that last play when he had that fumble, I think Coach Taggart pretty much figured, hey, if you're going to have struggles with a younger player. They have a redshirt freshman, Doughty, in there. We'll see what he can do. Of course, they're going to still feature Bobby Rainey in this offense.
2nd down, Doughty to throw for the 1st time. Lofts it over the middle, too far out in front. He had his tight end out there, but Doyle unable to haul it in. Doughty comes from a rich area of football, Davie, Florida. He was a North Broward prep star, 3-star recruit for 23 touchdown passes in his senior year. A strong area for football.
Well, Coach Taggart, he's from Manatee, Florida, so he recruits that area quite heavily. Actually, 33 kids on this Western Kentucky team from the state of Florida, as opposed to 25 from the state of Kentucky. So that lets you know the emphasis that he has on recruiting that Florida area.
Third and short for the Hilltoppers. They will give the ball to Rainey, and he will pick up the first down. Bobby Rainey up ahead to the 29-yard line. Matt Warwick in on another stop for Navy. You're a former professional linebacker. Talk about the linebacking core for Navy tonight. This is a group that had a lot of question marks coming into the season. Brewer, Graham, Warwick, and Wetzel. Wetzel filling in for the injured Jared Shannon, but they have been solid again tonight flying to the football.
Well, I think it starts with the two inside guys. Of course, that's 51 Matt Warwick and 38 Matt Brewer. Both of those guys, heads-up guys, tough, and they get to the football.
Doughty to throw, floats it toward the side. Vasquez makes the catch, and he was wrapped up at the 45-yard line. 17-yard completion to Marcus Vasquez, who had a couple of early drops, and now finding his game.
Well, that's all you need. You just with a running game like Bobby Rainey and his talented offensive line, you really just need a serviceable quarterback. Complete the 10-yard throw if the guy's open.
Doughty to throw, looks Vasquez direction again, and he has another haul in right near the first down marker, taken out of bounds by David Wright.
You were talking about that Navy linebacking core who's playing so well so far this season. Actually, Matt Brewer and Matt Warwick are both from the same St. Louis area. Went to Wild Horse Elementary School in St. Louis and played together, and then played against each other in high school, and both wound up at the Naval Academy, starting at the two inside linebacker position. So Coach Nehemiah Lolo says a lot of tough guys who come out of that Midwest area. Just a real tough physical part of the country, and he likes recruiting that area.
Second and a yard, Doughty from the shotgun. He has Rainey lined up next to him. Doughty pumps right, wanted to come back near side, goes to a third option, and the pass is caught. Brown up at the 35-yard line, first down, Western Kentucky. Rico Brown, the redshirt freshman. Yeah, you mentioned Brewer and Warwick as we take a look at Doughty. Good job checking down, Eddie.
You like Doughty. He's making good, accurate throws. Guys are sitting down in the zone. The offensive line is having some success with protection against Navy. They're playing real vanilla defensively. Of course, they're more concerned about the clock. They want to stop Western Kentucky, but they really just don't want to give up the big play at this point in the game.
Navy with the slide edge through the air tonight. Doughty has protection. Tried to float it to Rainey coming out of the backfield. Too tall as it goes incomplete. Going back to Brewer and Warwick, you mentioned those two were competitors in high school, and it's really funny to hear the two talk. If you have a conversation with Matt Brewer, he tells you that he actually caused Matt Warwick to fumble the football on his very first varsity carry, and then Warwick comes back and tells me that Brewer forgot to tell me that he rushed for 100 yards in that game, and then Brewer comes back and says, yeah, but we won the game.
You know those guys have some good locker room stories.
Second down and 10, Doughty to throw. He throws, has a man open near the 20, but it's dropped in and out of the hands of Jamariel Brown.
And we talked about the struggles that Western Kentucky has had at the quarterback position. Yeah, but part of those struggles has been some key drops. In the first quarter, there's a couple big drops that K1 Jace had to suffer through. And then you look at that one on the 2nd and 10 play, you have a chance to get a 15-yard gain. And it wasn't a perfect throw, but that's the type of throw that the wide receivers have to make, especially when you're having struggles at the quarterback position.
4 drops tonight by Hilltopper receivers. Third down and 10 at the 35. Shotgun play fake. Doughty to throw. Steps up in the pocket. Looks, fires to the end zone. Too tall. Incomplete. Intended receiver was Bo Brand.
I think this should be 4th down territory at the 35-yard line. If you're Western Kentucky, a punt probably only nets you 15 yards. And I think they're going to give Doughty another crack at it to see if he can get a first down. Navy has been very vanilla defensively, just sitting in that zone coverage, not giving up the big play. We'll see if they bring some pressure on the young quarterback in this situation.
Doughty taking a look at his wrist full of plays, getting his first action as a Hilltopper. 4th and 10 at the 35. 2 receivers right, 2 left, empty backfield. Doughty steps up, throws a wobbly duck, it's caught. And this should be enough for the first down. Hauling the pass in is Joel German, his second catch of the night. First down, they convert on 4th and 10.
And Western Kentucky, give that offensive line credit. Navy rushing 4. Doughty, great job of stepping up, looking like a seasoned veteran. And he throws the strike right in the underneath coverage. Hey, realizing it's 4th and 10, I only need 12 yards to move those chains.
Doughty on this drive, 4 of 7, 49 yards. Rainey the lone back. Brown goes in motion. Straight drop. Navy brings the blitz. They pick it up. Pass down the middle. Caught near the 1-yard line. Again, it's German with the reception. Good job picking up the blitz. And the slant, the deep slant, German hauls it in.
Yeah, you can see Navy is like, enough of this. We're going to get his uniform dirty. But Doughty, with the good protection up front, he's able to sling in the strike to Joel German. And now they're in that Bobby Rainey position of the field, which is near the goal line.
Western Kentucky 1 for 3 in the red zone tonight. Let's see what they can do here. 1st and goal from the 1-yard line. They give it to Rainey. Touchdown.
It's an old-fashioned power football. You see the power O, that offside guard comes around the center, and Bobby Rainey just goes downhill, and he's not even touched going into the end zone. That big offensive line can get things going in a hurry for Bobby Rainey.
Casey Tinius adds the point after. Bobby Rainey has scored his second touchdown, but even more impressive, the play of Brandon Doughty. Doughty drives the Hilltoppers down for a score, 33-14, Midshipman on top. Bobby Rainey has scored his second touchdown of the night, a 1-yard run, capping off a long drive, 12 plays, 86 yards, orchestrated by the redshirt freshman, Brandon Doughty. 33-14, Navy with the lead as the Hilltoppers kick it off. On the return, this is Marcus Thomas. And Thomas is tackled at the 33-yard line. One thing we can guarantee you, WKU will continue to battle. They're going to take on the personality of their head coach, Willie Taggart. So Midshipmen cannot let their guard down. Still lots of time in this game, 4.5 minutes to play in the third quarter.
And keep in mind, Navy last week, after pretty much controlling that Delaware game, they gave up some cheap scores at the end of the game, 100 yards in that fourth quarter. So I know defensively they want to get that edge back when they come out on the football field.
This is Teach on first down. Western Kentucky closes the hole. Teach with a yard, 2nd and 9. Been a tough night for the Hilltopper front four. Clendenin, Martin, Allen, Lewis, seen Smith, and Adebayo. Continue to rotate bodies. Proctor tried to cut it up, and he is caught at the 35-yard line. Gets back to the line of scrimmage. Boyd, the middle linebacker, in on the stop along with Davis.
And the defense coordinator for Western Kentucky, Coach Guidry, one thing he talked about is so hard to simulate the speed of this option attack that Navy presents. And you can have a young freshman quarterback working it in practice, but until you get out here and see the speed at which those linemen come out and try to cut you, it's very hard to simulate. Now we have a big third down play, which Navy's not afraid to run the ball on third down.
Third down play, straight drop. Proctor under pressure, running for his life, and he is tackled. He gets ahead for a yard, but well shy of the first down. Bo Adebayo, the defensive end, the senior from Lawrenceville, Georgia, able to chase down the Navy quarterback.
And that's the big 3 and out that Western Kentucky needed after the redshirt freshman quarterback comes in there and lead them to a touchdown. Nobody open. But Chris Proctor, realizing the status of this game, does the right thing, but give Western Kentucky credit, bringing that immediate pressure from around the end with big number 90 with Bo Adebayo.
Western Kentucky coming after the kick. It's a line drive, returnable kick. Andrews will let it bounce as it continues to angle toward the side. Official will continue to walk up the sideline and mark it right at the 30-yard line. So not a real good punt there by Pablo Beltran, just 34 yards. And now Western Kentucky, maybe for the first time tonight, with a little bit of momentum on their side.
Yeah, the momentum has been sitting on the Navy bench. It's been Coach Niumatalolo's best friend the whole time. So now Coach Taggart, maybe he can get this hometown crowd. They've been waiting to have something to cheer about. Every time there's a big play, it's either a fumble or a mistake. Maybe Western Kentucky can string together a couple of big plays and a good back-to-back offensive series and put some more points on the board and get this team back into the ball game.
Brandon Doughty on for his second series at quarterback. The redshirt freshman certainly provided a spark. He opens up from the 30. Again, Navy brings some linebackers. Pass over the middle. Actually hit the tight end, it appeared, in the face mask as the ball drops incomplete. Doyle, the intended target.
I think Matt Warwick, number 51 for Navy, dropping back in the coverage. Just probably the vision of the big tight end, Jack Doyle, usually a pretty sure-handed guy, but he wasn't able to haul that one in. But I like that. When you have a running back like Bobby Rainey, you run so much on first down, you come out with a first down pass, and you can really catch the defense off balance.
Doyle, a preseason John Mackey nominee, had 20 catches last year despite missing 5 games. Here he hauls in a short button hook at the 33. Doyle missed the last 5 games with an injury. Has bounced back strong in his junior campaign. One of the captains on this Western Kentucky team. Good receiver, also a solid blocker up front.
Looking at the matchup now, Western Kentucky had a little play just now where Bobby Rainey marched out of the backfield, had an empty set, and he had a one-on-one coverage with the linebacker, and he was open. So we'll see if that's something they go back to, because Bobby Rainey is also an excellent receiver coming out of the backfield.
Split backs, 3rd down and 5. They go to Jones, the fullback, out of the backfield, and he is chopped down by Sperry.
Run it, man.
Kadeem Jones, the fullback, with the catch. Well shy of the first down, bringing up a 4th down situation. And the Hilltopper fans not happy with the decision to punt.
I think you still have a lot of time in the ball game, even though the score is 33-14. A 4th and 3, statistically, that's not a high percentage play to pick that up.
Gary Myers awaiting the kick. Myers will let this one bounce at the 20, and that's where it's touched dead. The Western Kentucky, a 3-and-out. 43-yard punt by Hendricks Brakefield. Talked about Brakefield last week against Kentucky. He was a major weapon. Sun Belt Special Teams Player of the Week. Had 8 punts. Averaged 44 yards. His longest a week ago was 58 yards. First down play. Really a bad pitch. G.G. Green made a nice adjustment. Green up to the 29-yard line. Proctor on that pitch a bit behind Green, but showing some athleticism, able to make the grab and then turn it upfield for good yardage.
Yeah, those slot backs, those guys have had a good night. Howell, Santiago, G.G. Green, all of them. Good job in the passing game and also running the football. And what I'm seeing from this Western Kentucky, their inside linebackers are just not able to scrape out to the perimeter. And that's been the problem with them defensively.
Second down give is to the fullback on what should be the final play of the quarter. Each gets 2 yards, so Navy picks up the first down. Clock will wind down, 23 seconds to go in the period. 33-14, Navy on top. The play clock and the game clock are identical, so we'll see how the midshipmen want to handle this. I don't think they're going to have to take a snap. Proctor, looking back at the official, I think looking for a little help from him to see, hey, can we run this thing out?
Timeout on the field. Navy, a second choice timeout.
Navy's going to call a timeout. I've never seen that, Eddie, where the play clock and the game clock were a complete match, and Navy got a little nervous there that they might get called for a delay of game, so they called the timeout with 1 second to go.
I think the side judge must have told Coach Niamadololo that he would get a delay of game, or else I'm sure he'd have just let that thing run all the way down to 0.
You saw Coach Niamadololo, and what a resume he has put together, just his 4th year as the Navy coach, 28-14. He played for Hawaii, actually led the Rainbow Warriors, as they were called back then, to their first postseason bowl in 1989. Again, looking to guide Navy to their 4th consecutive winning season. Longtime assistant coach at Navy, spent a couple years in Las Vegas with the Runnin' Rebels. Also spent some years at Hawaii as an assistant. Here's Proctor on the final play of the quarter. Chris Proctor up ahead to the 40 to the 43-yard line. Should have enough for the first down, and that's how the 3rd quarter will end. Navy using that ground game once again tonight. Last time Navy's had 2 100-plus yard rushers. You have to go back to 2010 with Alex Teach and Ricky Dobbs. Tonight, it's been John Howell and Alex Teach. All Navy, 33-14 midshipmen. Welcome back to Bowling Green, Kentucky. We're at the bottom of the hill. They call it the Hill here on the campus of Western Kentucky University. Very top of the hill, all the academic buildings, the dormitory at the very bottom. The kids have to walk up the hill to get to their classes each and every day, and that's the nickname, the Hilltoppers, here in Bowling Green. Start of the 4th quarter, Navy on top. You look at the numbers for the midshipmen, very impressive, over 400 yards offense. Western Kentucky picked up the pace, mainly throwing the football with Doughty.
Navy's going to have to correct that penalty situation. They didn't have any last week, and this week they have 2. Coach will always find something that you have to work on.
Proctor on the option. He will pitch it to Staten. Good room for Staten to work as he is shoved out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Darius Staten, sophomore from Texas, on the last carry for the midshipmen. Yeah, you look at the numbers last year for Navy, they were the least penalized team in the country. The team just does not make mistakes. They have such tremendous discipline. We described it as unmatched discipline in the pregame, and that's what the academies strive. And you look at it, all 3 academies are good in that department. And 10 from the 39, Proctor in all sorts of trouble, and he is thrown down. No gain on the play. Good job defensively.
Proctor almost lost that football. That fullback give has been so good to Navy today, you have to wonder, hey, just keep giving it to the fullback if they can't stop him.
Here's Proctor, forced to make a quick decision. He pitches to Snelson. He loses the football, and it's recovered by Beard. Western Kentucky's Ryan Beard on top of the football, and the Hilltoppers get it on the Bo Snelson fumble.
Western Kentucky, they've been looking for that big turnover. Navy doesn't put the ball up around very often in the day. They've been forcing to recover. But now the Hilltoppers get a break. Just a pitch coming around the side with the big hit. Right there coming from inside out, and that's Andrew Jackson, the middle linebacker. They did a good job of containing him today, but you can see the athleticism that he can have and the big impact he can have by putting hits on the runners and causing those fumbles. He caused 2 fumbles last week.
Yeah.
And they are going to take a look at it upstairs. The play under review. Initial looks at it appear pretty clear cut. Take another look at it. See what they're checking.
What are you majoring in? Geology.
Number 4 on number 4. Coming from the inside out. Yeah, that ball, I think it was out. You can't see exactly if that knee was down, but just from the position of the runner. Bo Snelson, it seems like he was still up.
Oh, yeah. That's a fumble.
You know, in that situation, you're always going to get hard on your fullback or your tailbacks when they fumble the football. But Bo Nelson had the ball in the outside hand. He had the 3 points of contact with the football. That was just a big, aggressive hit by Andrew Jackson, who goes 6'1", 255. And he was able to come across the body of Bo Nelson and still rip at that football. So I don't know what you tell your player in that situation. I think that was just a great play by a linebacker that had had enough of getting the cut block and was able to run and get a big hit on the perimeter.
Brian Beard, another of the hometown guys on this Western Kentucky team. He actually went to Bowling Green High School. 6-foot senior. Last year he was second on the team in tackles with 71.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. First down.
That'll be one of the easiest reviews of the season for the guys in the booth next to us. How difficult is it to prepare, Eddie, with your NFL experience as a linebacker in preparing for the cut block? When you're facing a team like Navy, what do you look for from their linemen as they come out after you?
You know, we talked about that with Coach Lance Guidry, the defensive coordinator from Western Kentucky. You know, you really can't simulate the speed in practice. So we used to roll a big ball at us to get us ready for the intensity of the cut block, and your other teammates would do it. But until you get out there and face it, it's very hard to prepare for it.
Here's Doughty back to work. Little pitch pattern to Rainey. Makes the catch up ahead to the 32-yard line. 8-yard completion to Bobby Rainey out of the backfield. Rainey's third catch, 3 grabs, 18 yards tonight for the explosive senior back from Griffin, Georgia. Second down and 2. Doughty from the shotgun has protection. Now he's under pressure, in trouble, and he is sacked. Dobbs able to rope him down and get the sack. Jamel Dobbs, a sophomore. Henderson jumping on late.
Doughty just got a little bit too comfortable in the pocket. He has to have that internal clock to realize at some point this rush is going to get to me. When your first read's not there, he tries to look left, and hey, time is over. The Navy defense is there to make the play.
Third down long. Doughty straight drop, zips it over the middle, pass nearly intercepted. Tried to thread the needle, not much room to work. High French nearly had the pick for the midshipmen, but Western Kentucky will be forced to punt. And again, Navy unable to take advantage.
Trying to make sure if he got the right read. Redshirt freshman, he's going to have some growing pains. I don't know if they're going to stick with him or go back with Jakes next week, but he needs some production out that passing game for Western Kentucky.
Here's the kick by Brakefield. Myers signals for a fair catch. And the midshipmen will take over at the 37-yard line. Good punt by Hendricks Brakefield. It's a 40-yard boot. Navy will take over when we come back. 12:18 to go, fourth quarter. Beautiful night from Bowling Green. Midshipmen in control. Welcome back to ESPN3's coverage of college football. Tonight, an independent hooking up with the Sun Belt, and right now it's the Mids of Navy on top. 33-14 as the rain starts to fall again in Bowling Green. Proctor on the option. He is hit at the 42. Andrew Jackson. He was quiet to start the game, but I tell you what, he has revved up his motor. He has played solid here last couple of quarters.
I think Andrew Jackson had to get used to the speed of that Navy offense, especially with those guards and tackles. They come out with those chop blocks, and it's one of those things, if you're a big physical linebacker, you much rather take those blocks up high, but they do a great job of shooting at your legs and allow that fullback and those slot backs to get on the perimeter of your defense.
Navy with 145 yards rushing here in the second half. Proctor caught from the backside. Ben Duvall, the linebacker, able to chase him down. Yes. Duvall from Kentucky, the 6'3 senior, 3-time Letterman. Nicely done.
We'll see if it's too little too late, but Western Kentucky doing a better job at seeing what's happening with this Navy defense, with this Navy offense, and a good job running that play down from behind. Now a 3rd and long situation. You have to be good in coverage if you're Western Kentucky. You can't let Navy off the hook.
Proctor to throw under pressure, and down he goes. He's sacked. A huge loss back at the 25-yard line. Pressure coming from the backside. Xavier Boyd on a linebacker blitz.
Yeah, and the play action isn't very good on 3rd and long because those guys are teeing off anyway. They're expecting pass. Great job by Western Kentucky getting upfield, not buying the play action, and the guys in the back end are having better job at covering those Navy receivers. They had some big plays early in the first half off of that same type of play action.
Pablo Beltran on the punt inside his 20. Here comes the pressure, and he gets the kick away. Andrews at the 35 signals for a fair catch. The 35-yard punt by Beltran, and now Western Kentucky running out of time, Eddie. They're going to need to try to get something started. Navy on top, 33-14. We'll see if the Hilltoppers can pull off some late magic. You're watching college football on ESPN3. And for the second time tonight, the Ponchos have been brought out, a little more than 19,000 strong. Enjoying this one, Navy on top, 33-14. Midshipman as Doughty goes back to work for the Hilltoppers, and he finds Doyle as tight end up ahead to the 41-yard line. 6 yards in the completion to the tight end, Jack Doyle.
Doughty has had quite a few targets to the big tight end.
Doughty with time, throws it away, and Vasquez had cut off his route. And Doughty airmailed it out of bounds, 3rd down.
This is definitely not Hilltopper football. They much rather prefer to run Bobby Rainey. Keep in mind, this is a guy that had over 1,600 yards rushing, 340 rushing attempts last year. So they're a run-first team in play action. So now you have them in a situation where they're doing something that's not really in their character, sitting back in 4 wides and having to throw the football, and that really goes to the advantage of this Navy defense.
Doughty in relief, 9 of 16 for 91 yards. Looking at 3rd and 4 from the 41. Doughty has initial time, throws, and it's intercepted, and this could be a pick 6. Travez Bush, they're not going to get to him. Bush 5, touchdown Navy. Travez Bush, the 5'10 junior, with the interception and the return.
Doughty trying to look wide. That's a long way to throw from that hash to those numbers on the other side of the field. And the big interception by Travez Bush, 5'10", 192 pounds, and he beats Doughty to the end zone for the pick 6. Pretty much the go-ahead score for this Navy midshipman football team.
John Teague to try to add the point after. And Teague splits the sticks with 9:51 to go in the 4th quarter. The Navy defense with some points. Travez Bush with the interception return for the touchdown.
And don't take this interception for granted. As a linebacker, hey, I've dropped a lot of these, the ones that have come right to me that you're supposed to catch. There's a reason those guys play defense. That's a great job of making the catch, looking it in, make the play look easy, and a great job of getting into the end zone, diving over the pylon. Great job by this Navy defense all day long. They've been very disciplined in stopping Bobby Rainey, the prolific rusher for Western Kentucky, and doing a good job in closing out this football game. Last week against Delaware, they gave up 100 yards in the 4th quarter and some scores, so they really wanted to play a complete game defensively, and they're definitely doing that tonight.
When you look at this Navy defense, again, it's a unit that came into the season with some question marks, but they have come up with a big play tonight.
Yeah, there you can see the big hit knocking helmets off. That's number 38, Brewer, one of those middle linebackers. And then coming around the corner is number 48, Wetzel. And these guys play great team football, and they know they had the play action passes and great defense. On one-on-one coverage in the back of the end zone, they made plays. I think that may have been the 3rd down attempt, and then they came back with this 4th down attempt. That's to repeat the same play, but just a good job in coverage. Good discipline by number 18, David Wright. Here trying to go over the top to the big tight end, and the young linebacker was dropping back in coverage.
Yeah, the Navy defense, 4 takeaways tonight, 13 points off Hilltopper mistakes. 19-yard return by Andrews, and the Western Kentucky offense will start at the 29-yard line. Prevez Bush with that interception return. He's a very versatile D-back. In fact, he spent some time last year at inside linebacker. Got a start against Arkansas State. This year he's moved to that rover position and plays a lot of the nickel and dime packages for Navy. Quasi Mitchell, the starting rover, but Bush is, again, one of those athletic players that you can pretty much play him anywhere. He has experience, good speed, one of the fastest, and we saw that on the touchdown run.
And keep in mind, 7 first-time starters on this Navy defense. Some of those guys played last year, but not in the starting role. So good job in the early part of the season.
Here's Bobby Rainey across the 30. Rainey to the 34-yard line, pick up a 5. So for the second straight week, Navy has put up at least 40 in a game. They did it to Delaware last Saturday and now here tonight on the road. Second down and 5. Here comes Brewer on a blitz. Throw is incomplete. Brewer got to the quarterback right as he released it.
I think Coach Nehemiah Lolo really has to be impressed with his Navy team because, to me, this was somewhat of a trap game. I mean, of course, they play South Carolina next week, and, of course, the big game against Air Force, who they lost to last year and lost that Commander-in-Chief trophy to. And so this was a game that kind of sat in the part of the schedule where it's 2 big games coming up. You're playing on the road to Western Kentucky, a team you feel like you should beat. So you have to really tip your hat to the midshipmen the way they came out here and have played 4 complete quarters, and they're trying to put the finishing touches on a great evening.
Third down and 5. Doughty to the right. Pass caught. It's German, and he'll have enough for the first down.
German is a redshirt freshman from Fort Myers, Florida. That's been a connection that Doughty went to when he first came in the ball game in his 4th quarter. So we'll see if we go back to him. He's a pretty good wide receiver. Looks like he has quite a bit of speed.
Doughty to throw, fires over the middle. Good catch made in heavy traffic. Pass was a bit high. It's a short gain. Good hands, though, by the freshman Bo Brand.
Navy defense is conceding nothing. And they're playing good zone coverage, still getting that 4-man rush up front. Making good tackles, playing hard on the edges. Very disciplined defense, not giving anything deep or cheap.
Second down play, Doughty looking. Now shovels a little pass to Rainey, improvising on the fly there as Rainey is tripped up. Another short gain to Rainey out of the backfield.
Looking forward, Coach Taggart, he'll have to make a decision next week. Will it be Jakes at quarterback or Brandon Doughty, who has showed some good things coming in relief? You already know you have Bobby Rainey and what he brings to the table, but you're going to have someone to step up and take ownership of his quarterback position and make some big plays in the passing game, or else teams will just load the box against Bobby Rainey and force you to pass.
Doughty on 3rd and 7. Again, looking for the tight end, a bit behind him, incomplete. Doyle, the intended target. What would you do, Eddie? After watching the 2 quarterbacks tonight, what route would you go next Saturday when they have another night game on ESPN3 against Indiana State?
Well, I think the coaching philosophy is everything's even. If the 2 kids are about the same, you go with the younger kid. So, I mean, Doughty being a redshirt freshman, I've seen enough from him. I think he earns a chance to, if not start next week, to at least get some playing time next week.
Brakefield on for another kick. This one rolls inside the 10, and it will reach the end zone for the touchback. Navy has made only one other trip into the Commonwealth of Kentucky. You have to go all the way back to 1993. They lost to Louisville on that night. Well, they're about to get their first win in Kentucky tonight. 40-14, midshipmen on top. Welcome back to Bowling Green, Kentucky. Navy on top on a soggy Saturday night, 40-14. The midshipmen on top. Navy set the tone early, scored on a long touchdown in the opening 2 minutes, and it has been all midshipmen ever since. WKU trying to play catch-up, just not working. Here's the old end-around play to Matt Aiken. Aiken trying to get to the outside, picks up 1 block, and then is pushed out at the 26-yard line. A lot of horizontal running there as Aiken tried to get to the corner, but WKU was able to chase him down. Ben Duval escorting Aiken out of bounds.
Nice reverse option play here. Just something for the other teams to have to scout. You want to make them prepare for everything, so you pull it out of your playbook late in the game, and that's just one more thing that you have to scout and look for if you're a defensive opponent preparing for Navy.
Well, you certainly could see how that play could go for big yardage the way Navy has run the football, catching the defense over pursuing. Here's a pitch to Howell. All he's done is score a couple of touchdowns on his first 2 carries tonight. This time they stop him. He gets enough for the first down.
Well, he had his first 2 carries for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's killing his average here, man. Come on.
John Howell is a big play player. His name is firmly entrenched in the record books for the Army-Navy series. Last year, a 77-yard play from the line of scrimmage that resulted in a touchdown, the longest in that storied rivalry. First down, Navy at the 31-yard line. Proctor, he'll give the football off. Navy without a couple of guys tonight. One of those guys not in uniform is Delvin Diggs. He's the normal backup fullback. He is out with an ankle injury, so we're getting our first look at sophomore Mike Patrick.
Patrick is more in the same lines as Teach. I mean, traditionally, they usually have a big bruiser at fullback, where Alexander Teach goes 6 feet, 217. He's more of a leaner guy, and now you have Mike Patrick, who comes in at 5'8", 193. The upside of that is you can do a lot more things. Those guys can make plays coming out the backfield, and they're more of an accomplished runner.
Here's the ball loose. Proctor dropped it. It's still a live football, and it's finally corralled by Western Kentucky. Proctor looked like he lost it on the fullback exchange as he tried to pull it back out. Let's take a look. I think the Hilltopper then fumbled it right back on the return.
Davius Boyd was thinking touchdown first instead of recover the football first. Common mistake, and it goes right back to Mike Patrick.
Resulting is a first down.
So this will be a first down for Navy because it did change possession. Boyd had control of it, lost it.
Now, I don't know if Boyd ever really had control of that football. He was kind of fumbling around his fingertips, but I don't know if he ever actually picked it up off the ground, took a step with it to have that change of possession. That's a big benefit to Navy because it resets the downs, and now it's a first down and 10.
Yeah, hot potato as it was slipping around on this wet turf. Navy catches a break. They pitch it to Snelson, Bo Snelson. Pushed out of bounds shy of the 30-yard line. Western Kentucky, part of the Sun Belt Conference. Last week they had a tough opening week. The conference went 1-8. The one win was an in-conference game as the preseason favorite Florida International spoiled Dan McCarney's debut at North Texas, 41-16, but went up against some stiff competition. 3 losses to top 25 teams last week, 2 losses to top 10 teams. They nearly pulled off one upset with Middle Tennessee losing to Purdue. Give up the middle. Today, not much better. One notable game, Florida International beat Louisville today, 24-17. Florida Atlantic shut out by Michigan State. North Texas loses to Houston. Louisiana Lafayette in a delay on top of Kent State, 17-7. Georgia Tech all over Middle Tennessee, 42-14. And Louisiana Monroe right now on top. Late third quarter on top of Grambling, 28-7. Sun Belt scores from tonight. Third down play for Proctor. He will give it to the fullback, and first down Navy. Needed 3, they picked up 4.
Good work for number 29, Mike Patrick. I mean, traditionally, if you're the third string fullback, you probably don't get much playing time. But like you said, with Delvin Diggs being hurt, the backup fullback, he gets the call. And a good experience. I mean, you never know with Teach. I mean, he's such a durable guy, but if something happens, you have to work these other guys in. And that first fumble was just a matter of him not having a good mesh with Chris Proctor. I think Chris Proctor was trying to pull it, and he was like, hey, I'm getting into this ball game. I want to run it.
This is Proctor on another give to the fullback right up the middle as Navy works on this clock. 3:30 to go, fourth quarter. Navy 40, Western Kentucky 14. The midshipmen 459 yards offense tonight.
Yeah, and if you're real quiet, you can hear that little hissing sound. That's Coach Niumatalolo taking all the air out the football. And you can see why he's 23-0 in his first years at Navy when having a lead going into the fourth quarter. And that's the great thing about having this option attack. If you're up in the fourth quarter, you're geared up to run the football, take the air out the game, and get out of here with a W.
All of Navy's yards in the second half have come on the ground. G.G. Green will add to that total here as he spins in the Western Kentucky territory. Green down to the 48-yard line.
If you're Western Kentucky, you have to just settle down and try to regroup. You're starting off 0-2, but you have a couple more home games, so you have a chance to get that W at home that they need and try to get things going in the right direction. Coach Taggart was really looking forward to playing this Navy team because he feels like his program needs a win over this type of FBS school, and they haven't been able to get it. They played Kentucky close last week, but he said close only counts in horseshoes. So they have to get a W for this program and really turn the mentality. It's one thing to play those games close and feel like you can win, but you have to go out there and do it on the football field.
Navy's going to let the play clock wind down and call a timeout. We'll keep the action here with 2:24 to go in the contest. Let's go ahead and look at the schedules coming up for these two teams. You mentioned Western Kentucky and Navy. Let's look at the midshipmen schedule. Next week at number 12, South Carolina, then the Commander-in-Chief game against Air Force, and the coach told you how important that game is.
Well, he told us that was his number one priority, is to win the Commander-in-Chief trophy. And they had it for 7 years straight, and they lost it last year to Air Force, so they'll be geared up for that one. Of course, Southern Miss going to Rutgers, East Carolina, the big one at Notre Dame, and then down the line you have the Army game also, which is big. But I think right now they can really, after winning these first two games, they can gear up to try to put forth a real good effort against a very talented South Carolina team.
For Western Kentucky, they will take on Indiana State. That's an FCS program. Sycamores next week right here on ESPN3. Then they get into Sun Belt Conference play for the home matchup against Arkansas State. So one of those rare scheduling quirks where you have 4 straight home games. Here is Gigi, or check that. This is Patrick, the fullback, out of the timeout. Mike Patrick all the way down to the 3-yard line. Patrick broke through a hole. And the number 3 fullback in this Navy attack with good yardage, 46 yards.
Yeah, you have those smaller size fullbacks, but what they bring to you is this athletic ability. They're able to break a couple tackles, and look, he has the speed of a slot back, only goes 5'8", 193, and that's the good thing about having those smaller guys, just like Alexander Teach, a little bit more of an athletic ability, maybe not the physical blocker, but they can do so much more in the run game and also in the pass game.
Talk about balance. 9 different midshipmen have carried the football in this game. First and goal from the 4. They hand it off to Patrick, and he has stood up at the line of scrimmage. New quarterback in there for Navy, and that is Trey Miller, a sophomore, 6'1", 190-pounder out of Marietta, Georgia.
Of course, if your name is Trey Miller, you just have to wear number 3. I mean, it just makes common sense, and that's my youngest son's name also. I have 3 boys, and my youngest one's name is Trey, so I have to get him a number 3 jersey also. But it's good that Navy gets these backup players in, especially running this triple option. You run it in practice, but you need to run it against a defense to see how good you are at it.
Second down and goal for the Mids at the 4-yard line as we approach the 1-minute mark. They pitch it to the right side, and that play is blown up. I'm not sure if it was designed. The defender there, Tyree Robson, was blocked into the play, and he just happened to go right into the path of the Navy ball carrier.
Right place, right time. Navy very fortunate they were able to hold on to the football, but I'm sure right now Coach Niumatalolo is looking at just running plays, get this game over with, no injuries, and just run this clock out. And if you're Western Kentucky defensively, hey, step up. You don't want to give up another score. You're on your home turf. You want to play this game out and finish it with a good defensive stand here.
Loss of 6, 3rd and goal, back to the 9-yard line. Trey Miller is going to throw the football, pumps, rolls to the right, and he is caught. Sacked on the play, back at the 12-yard line. Ben Duvall, Andrew Jackson, all in on that last play for WKU. And that should be the final play of this one tonight. Ken Niumatalolo, very satisfied, I think, if you look back at this for Navy. The only down spot tonight was the injury to Santiago, and hopefully he'll be able to come back. But he went down right before halftime, and I think that's the only blemish tonight for the midshipmen.
Yeah, starting off 2-0, the Navy midshipmen have to be excited. His team handled the success from last week and came back out with even a more dominating performance. So you look forward to that big road game going to South Carolina facing the SEC opponent.
So Navy, this proud program, looking for their 9th straight winning season, looking to qualify for the bowl picture for the 9th straight year, and they certainly are off to a good start. The midshipmen 2-0 in this young season. Western Kentucky now 0-2. And for Willie Taggart and crew, the job for the Hilltopper coaching staff, keep everybody up and ready to go next week against Indiana State.
But you have to keep your players motivated. I mean, you still have some good things to hang your hat on. Your defense didn't have a great effort today, but hey, Bobby Rainey, this guy can play football. You just work that in, and you just have to get that big home win. The fans have shown them great support.
So Navy celebrates the midshipmen big tonight, 40-14. So for Eddie Robinson Jr., I'm Sean Kinney saying so long from Bowling Green. To watch this entire game on replay, go to the ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com. This has been a presentation.